extortion, and emotional distress.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin.
Hello, Judge. Case 2156, Heckendorf versus Zaragoza.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Heckendorf, who is this gentleman?
This was an attorney I hired in Mexico, kind of in the middle of the night when...
He's an attorney.
In Mexico.
Okay.
And my witness.
Okay. So, trying to piece this complaint and answer together, you purchased a home from Mr. Zaragoza?
No, Your Honor.
He purchased a home from you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, got it. He purchased a home from you in Mexico?
Yes.
Where in Mexico?
About 5 miles north of Rosarito, maybe 10 miles south of the border.
How long have you owned the home?
I owned the home about 5 years.
How much did you pay for it?
When I bought it was $180.
How much did Mr. Zaragoza pay for the house?
$245.
On what date did he purchase the house?
February the 9th.
Were you present at the closing of the house?
I was.
When you closed on the house on February 9th, how much money did you receive?
I was supposed to receive...
No. You were supposed to receive $245,000. How much did you receive?
I received a cashier's check for $15,000.
15?
$15,000. I received cash, $4,500. And I received the next day through a wire transfer 4.6 million pesos or something like that. I have the paperwork.
Just tell me what that translated to in dollars.
It was $220,500.
Okay. Well, if you have proof to how much the translation of pesos to dollars is, that means that you got a total so far without the down payment. Did he give you a down payment?
Yes, $5,000. I was paid for my house. I was paid for my house.
No, I understand that, but this is the problem. Mr. Zaragoza says that when he took out the mortgage, he increased the amount that he was borrowing so that he had closing costs covered to the extent of, I think, $3,800 or $3,900.
It was a total of almost $10,000.
No.
Oh, $3,900.
That's what I asked you. What's 10,000? 10,000 comes out of nowhere. It was a difference, you said, of $3,900.
Yes, ma'am.
And so he wanted from you the difference.
Well, the realtor gave me...
Not the realtor. He wanted from you...
The realtor told me that. I've never really spoke to Dante except for on February 22nd and the time that he came and looked at my house. But the realtor sent me a fake statement, which I looked at because it's a high school kid's piece of paper, and I said I was not making a refund.
Okay, well, you have to make a refund if you were paid more for the house than you're bargained for with the purchaser.
That's true.
That's true.
And the bank told me on April 1st...
No, they can't tell you anything.
Oh, really?
If they documented something to you, then I'll read it. But you can't tell me what a bank told you. First of all, banks don't speak. Now, I'd like you to get what Mr. Zaragoza is handing me.
This is from the bank.
Dante hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
Well, I can't read this, but what I can't read is in Spanish, but I can read the numbers which indicate that you received, Ms. Heckendorf, a total of $249,544.22. Let me see.
May I see that, ma'am?
Absolutely.
Because this is what that bank gave me right here.
Kevin hands a document to Karen.
And I did go with my witness to the bank on April 1st, and they told me that
A bank can't tell you anything.
They told me that was the correct amount.
A bank can't tell you. They can give you a document, which I will read, but a bank can't tell you anything.
This is not really a case about this contract.
Yeah, it is. It started this way.
They're saying that that bank sent me the wrong amount of money?
Yes. That's what it says. That's what that says.
That's what this says.
That's what that says.
I imagine anyone can write what they want, but I was not paid the wrong amount of money.
Well, the bottom line of it was, eventually you gave him back $2,800 of the $39,000 that he said that he was entitled to. Is that correct,
No.
Ms. Heckendorf?
No.
You never gave him $2,800?
I signed a contract and gave him $2,800 under duress. He took my dogs and my cat And he took my property.
I want you to understand what I'm saying to you. When I ask you a question, I expect an answer. You gave him $2,800, and you gave him the $2,800 because he believed and told you that he had taken out extra money in order to cover his closing costs. And you got that money, and he wanted that money back because he was going to have to pay for it through his mortgage.
I have never heard that these were closing costs. This is the first I've heard about closing
Well,
costs.
I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to
never heard about closing costs.
Stop talking. Stop talking.
Okay.
Caption coming up.
And I'm keeping it very simple.
Okay.
You're going to want to keep it very complicated, and I, madam, are going to keep it very simple. So the bottom line is you stayed in the house for free.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Karen and Dante.
Karen Heckendorf claims her homebuyer, Dante Zarzosa, extorted money by keeping her pets and property. Dante is countersuing for false accusations and lost wages.
Good. This is your piece of evidence. Your piece of evidence says that you got $249,544.22.
No.
That's what it says.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, that's what it says. You gave him $2,800. He wanted $3,900. You gave him $2,800. What you're suing him for
He also
is...
wanted
I'm going
$2,500.
to dismiss your case.
Okay.
It's just as easy for me to send you back to Mexico. Once you closed on this house, according to what I looked at, Ms. Heckendorf, you asked if you could stay in the house because your new house wasn't ready to close escrow. Is that correct? That's a yes or a no?
Yes.
And so you closed the house on February 9th, and he allowed you to stay in the house. When were you supposed to vacate the house?
March the 1st, I paid
Just
$2,000.
that's a date, March 1st. And between February 9th and March 1st, how much did you pay him in rent?
I gave him the money from the casita.
Just a second.
Yes.
That's an amount between February 9th and March 1st.
$2,370.
So that was a month's rent. Is that what you received?
No, Your Honor.
How much did she pay you in rent between February 9th and when she was supposed to vacate March 1st? She would have paid you rent in
Nothing.
advance.
Nothing.
Show me proof that you paid him anything for rent on February 9th.
Karen hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Did you ever receive from this agent $2,370?
No, Your Honor.
Well, do you know who he is?
Yes, I do know. That's the realtor that represented both of us on the purchase.
And you never received, this was on February 9th. He acknowledges, he signed that he received $1,620 as in for the last month's rent and $750 security deposit, as well as prorated rent of $120. I don't know what prorated rent is for.
It was for the end of January. They moved in a few days before.
Who moved in?
The people that rented the casita.
And that's part of the house?
Yes.
What is that?
I have two houses on the property, the one I lived in and the casita. And Dante gave me an email that if I gave him this money from the casita, that I could live in the front house until March the 1st. I have that
Just a
email.
second. When he bought the house, did he or did he not buy the casita as well?
Yes, he did.
So he bought the casita as well. So it belonged to him. This rent belonged to him.
Only
So
if I
what do you mean?
rented
He's
it.
not giving you anything. If he buys a house and there's another property, he owns that property. He owns whatever rent was due for that property. So what you're saying is, let me cut to the chase. What you're saying is, you claim, he said to you, I've just paid you $250,000 for your house, which includes the casita. Your house isn't ready yet to close escrow. I will let you stay in the house free if you let me keep the money from the casita's rent.
Yes.
Oh,
And I have
fine.
an
So that the
email.
bottom line, don't speak, it doesn't look like you're losing so
And-
far. I may not be finished with you.
And
So
I hadn't rented
you're
the
speaking,
casita.
you're trying to speak over me.
Well-
And I'm keeping it very simple.
Okay.
You're going to want to keep it very complicated, and I, madam, are going to keep it very simple. So the bottom line is you stayed in the house for free from February 9th or 10th until It was supposed to be until March 1st. That was your understanding. You were staying in his house for free.
I didn't have to rent the casita.
I don't care whether you had to or whether you didn't have to. You were staying in your house that you sold to him for free until your new house was ready. That's a yes.
I felt that.
I don't
but
care
I
how
guess
you
if you want
feel.
to look at it that
I don't
way,
care how you feel.
Okay.
You sold him your property and you took advantage of a piece of that property, the casita, in order to negotiate yourself a free 3-week rent until your house is ready. Now, you may stand there and look at me in that smug way, but you and I both know that that was a deal you made for yourself.
Yes, I agreed.
Okay.
I agreed to rent the casita ahead of time before I moved out and give him the money so that I could stay in the property until my house closed escrow 1 week.
Pretty tricky.
May have been March the 6th.
Pretty tricky. Bottom line is you stayed in his house for free.
Okay.
And then what the rest of the case is about is that you claim that he changed the locks on the door before March 1st, and in the house you had your pets, and he held ransom your pets until you gave him what turned out to be $2,800. That's your complaint. He changed the locks on February 28th. Where were you when he changed the locks?
February 22nd.
22. Where were you when he changed the
I was
lock?
in my office in San Diego.
Okay. And how did you find out that the locks were changed on the door?
Dante sent me an email that I found later admitting to what he did, but
I asked you a question.
I was at my office, and he called me on the phone, and he said, "This is Dante Zarzosa, and I have..."
My way. He called you in the office. That's how you found out he changed the locks.
Yes.
That's an answer. Approximately what time did he call you in your
It
office?
was about 6:30, 6:45 in the evening.
6:30 p.m. And tell me what you claim he said to you and what you said to him.
"This is Dante Zarzosa. I have your 2 dogs. You're never going to see them again if you don't pay me $3,900.
Now, that wasn't the first time you had heard about this $3,900. That was not the first
time. I heard about it on February the 9th. No, the 8th. Sorry, February the 8th, I'd heard about it.
And so you told him after that you would, or you told him, or you told your lawyer, is that you? Yeah, now you can stand up.
I met him.
Shh, don't speak.
Okay.
Caption coming up.
On what date did you get your pets back?
Well, I didn't actually get them. My friends went and begged for the animals.
Don't tell me what they did.
They gave them to, and they gave them to my friends.
Stop, please.
Sit.
Karen's lawyer sits. Whitney smirks. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Karen and Dante.
Karen Heckendorf has accused her homebuyer, Dante Zarzosa, of extortion by threatening her pets. Dante claims Karen owes him for making false accusations.
Your last name, sir, is?
Mena, Your Honor.
Mena. Mr. Mena, you're an attorney in Mexico?
Yes.
Okay. Are you a real estate attorney?
Yes, civil attorney, real estate as well.
You understand what this is about, and you understand if you're a real estate attorney that sometimes people take a mortgage that's beyond what they need in order to cover their closing costs. You understand that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. It's not an unusual thing. I bought and sold many homes. A lot of people do that. And when were you first made aware of the fact that the defendant was at least claiming that there was an amount that he had incurred debt on by way of a mortgage in excess of what your client in Mexico was supposed to receive in the amount of $3,900?
February the 22nd, something like that.
2/22. And when she came to your office, now we no longer have attorney-client privilege, sir, because she's brought you here as a witness, so you're going to testify to every conversation that you
Absolutely,
had.
yes.
You understand that?
Absolutely.
Okay. She came to your office after she found out that the locks were changed.
Actually, I was at home. That was at night.
So when for the first time, sir, did you hear about this money that the defendant was claiming that he was owed?
Mr. Dante called me.
I want you to answer my question.
Yes.
My question is, when she called you the night of the 22nd at your home, did she tell you at that time or soon thereafter that there was a discrepancy that he was alleging with regard to the closing fees?
Not actually, no. No,
She didn't tell you anything. she told you that he just illegally evicted her and changed the locks.
Yes, and at the same time, because of some situations regarding a deal she has on the sale of the property.
Your client knew as of February 8th that the defendant was alleging that she owed him money from the closing costs. That's clear. That's what she told me. Now, they had clearly ongoing discussions about this from February 8th or 9th, when the deal closed and she got her money and she's living rent-free. So what I want to know, when did she share with you, not that there was an illegal eviction, not that her pets were in the house, when did she share with you that he was claiming that she owed him money? And I'm not excusing self-help. When did she tell you that? Because she knew it at the beginning. She knew it before she called you.
I have the communication from Mrs. Karen at the time we filed the complaint in the DA office, district attorney office. This is the time when she expressed me the whole facts.
Oh, so she didn't tell you the whole facts when she called you at home on the 22nd?
No, because she was very worried. She was concerned regarding the babies.
Don't tell me that. Okay.
That's it.
Now I got it. So I got what you're dealing with. I understand who I'm dealing with. Okay. On what date did you get your pets back, Miss Heckendorf?
The 22nd.
Okay. What time?
Well, I didn't actually get them. I got them the next day because my friends went and begged for the animals.
Don't tell me what they did.
They gave them to, and they gave them to my friends.
Stop it, please.
Sit.
The lawyer sits.
I just asked you when you got your animals back. So you got your animals back on the same day as he changed the locks on the house. They were given to friends.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So they were returned to you the same day because if they were given to your friends at your direction, your friends were your agents.
Yes.
Good.
Only the dogs. He had my cat the next day.
Did you have a cat or was it an outside cat? Is it an outside cat?
Outside cat that lives indoors, and they
Okay,
put
it's
the
an
doggy door down so the cat couldn't get out.
Okay.
He told me he had my cat.
Okay. When did you give him the $2,800?
About 5 o'clock on Wednesday, the 23rd.
Is there a writing of the exchange of that money? I'd like to see it.
Dante hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
I can't read this.
The plaintiff has a translated version.
Can I see the translated copy, please?
Can I speak
About what?
about that paper?
Yeah.
He was the one that drew it up. He could tell you, Your Honor.
No. I want this. Did you draw this up?
Can I see it?
Yeah, sure. Kevin, give it to him.
Kevin brings the document to the lawyer.
Thank you.
Did you draw that?
Yes, I participated.
What does it tell me?
It's translated.
Don't speak. Do you have the translation of this document?
Yes, I gave it to you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, number 5, very clear. This is the agreement that Mr. Zarzosa receives from Ms. Heckendorf $2,800 for concept of refund of pending payment. The previous amount is received fully. Therefore, the debt is liquidated. And number 6, the seller, Ms. Karen Heckendorf, grants the broadest waiver derived from the investigation file presented before the district attorney's office. I assume that that was your complaint, and with a file number filed against Mr. Zarzosa by not keeping any legal action present, past or future, derived from the present business.
This is the police report they're talking about.
I don't care what this says, is you've settled all of your disputes with each other. This says you've settled everything that had to be settled. Okay, but what the translation suggests is by this document, each of you understood that you were giving him money. He was not going to follow through with anything that had to do with the criminal complaint or with a criminal complaint against him. You went your own merry way. Am I crazy, or is that what this document says, sir? You are the lawyer.
Yes, it says so.
That's what it says so. So I want to know why you're all here bothering me. You settled everything. You got back your stuff. You got out of your house. You got your personal property. He has a counterclaim for false accusations and loss of wages as a result of whatever. This document says you've resolved everything with each other. So why are you here?
I did not sign that document under usual circumstances. I hadn't had any sleep, and I was coerced. And he said he was going to burn my furniture or he was going to sell it in the year that it would take me to prosecute him under this Mexican contract.
Put it down, sir. The case is over.
If he wanted to
The case
sue
is
me,
over. You're a pretty savvy lady, madam. You had an attorney that you consulted. He was there when this document was
wasn't on
signed.
the real estate deal.
He was there
He
when
was
this.
only on this
Goodbye.
deal
We're
in the
done.
middle of the
Case is
night.
dismissed. So is your counterclaim.
This
Bye.
court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Karen, then Dante.
this was really a case about Dante taking my animals for hostage and extortion.
I didn't steal anything.
The only reason I agreed to give him $2,800 was because he said he was going to burn or sell my furniture.
I'm gonna enjoy my house. Thank you, Karen.
Judy and Sarah.
That lady was never intimidated into anything.
I don't think so either.
She knew she had gotten an extra few bucks at the closing. She knew that she was really living there rent-free, which is really...
For water damage caused by Jania's 14-year-old daughter.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
Hello.
Case 2180, Simmons versus Freeman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Judy turns to Kara.
Miss Simmons, how long have you known Miss Freeman?
I met her in the 3rd grade. I've seen her a few times since then.
And you were having a party for one of your kids.
Yes, my oldest son,
How old is he?
12.
And it was a house party. And was she invited?
She was invited. I invited everybody from my Facebook, my family, and my friends.
How many people did you have?
There was about 10 kids that came.
And one of those children was the defendant's daughter, who was 14?
At the time, yes.
Is that you?
Yes.
Could you stand up next to your mother? Tell me your first name.
Miari,
And did you come with one child or more, Miss Freeman?
Two.
Your daughter and who else?
my 11-year-old son.
And at some point in the party, the kids went outside.
Yeah, so it was inside of a party room, and they were on the 2nd floor, and they were able to go play at the equipment that's on the 2nd floor.
Do you have photographs of the equipment?
I do on my phone, but I have a picture of where her daughter was playing at.
Let me see what you have.
Kara hands a photo to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews an image of a large concrete planter.
Okay, come up here.
Niari approaches.
Is this where you were playing?
Yeah.
On the grassy area?
More like, so it was 3 of us. We were all sitting right here, and I just so happened to be like more inside of the plant.
I just want to know whether you were in the planter or outside on this grass. In here or out here?
Both.
So you were both?
Yeah.
Okay, now you can go back.
Niari returns to her mother's side.
Okay, just for my information, what were you doing in the planter?
Well, more like I was like on top of it, not necessarily like in it. I wasn't trying to be in it, but my friends were sitting down and they were talking, and I didn't want to sit, so I was standing up on it.
Standing up on this is not my question. Were you in the planter where the plants were?
Yes.
Yes. Well, you knew you weren't supposed to be in the planter where the plants were. I mean, you're an intelligent girl, aren't you? Yeah. So you knew you weren't supposed to be in here.
Yes.
Right. Okay. That's all. You know, I mean, we're not talking about a homicide here. We're talking about being someplace you're not supposed to be, in the planter. So it was just the 3 of you outside.
Yes.
The 2 kids who were sitting on the edge of this planter where you're supposed to sit, and you who were both on the edge and inside the planter.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me what happened with the head of a sprinkler system while you were out there.
So what happened was we were talking and playing, and I was running around, so I was going from it on top of it, trying to be tall, running off the grass onto the steps, onto the planter and stuff like that. And somehow, I'm not really sure, I don't really remember, but the green thing that was in it, I don't remember what made me notice it, but I do remember that my foot had made contact with it, and I started to notice it, and I was looking at it, and then I was like, something's wrong here. I seen the top to the green thing, and I felt like that may have been me who removed it, so I thought to put it back. And as I was trying to put it back, it was being mad difficult, so I started jumping on top of it to make sure it stayed on top.
Let's get back to you. At some point after this happened, you were contacted by the landlord of your facility.
Yes, but I didn't know that she was outside doing that.
I don't care. She's just acknowledged that she did it. Why would that bother you?
It doesn't bother me.
Well, then it's not relevant. She acknowledged that that's what happened. She was in the wrong place. She broke something. According to her, she tried to fix it by jumping on it. Clearly the wrong thing to do. So if there was damage as a result of that, there's no question she's responsible. Since she's a minor, her mother's responsible. It's that simple, okay? Do you have a video of what happened that afternoon?
Yes.
Okay, can we see that, please? This came from security camera?
Yes.
Footage of Niari jumping in the planter.
Okay, you're in the white shorts, right?
Yes.
What are you bending down to pick up?
The top.
You mean it's that heavy and then other
Wasn't
kids get...
heavy.
Shh. Okay, I got it. Well, you understand, Miss Freeman, if Miss Simmons can establish that something that your daughter did, which she did on purpose, knowing she wasn't supposed to be there, you're responsible for whatever damage she did as a result of, that's probably a sprinkler head. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because you say in your answer that you left for a period of time and she didn't properly supervise your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's not true because your daughter's 14 years old. She's old enough to be outside unsupervised. There were younger children out there who knew enough not to jump around in the planter. She was the only one who jumped around in the planter. She was the oldest one out there.
Okay.
Do you understand? She was supposed to supervise them. If there was a 6-year-old who did that and she's outside, you would let a 14-year-old take care of a 6-year-old. And she doesn't require her supervision. And when she had a problem that day, and clearly it was a problem with somebody else's property, when the two of you were home that evening, did she tell you she had had a problem?
No, ma'am.
She didn't tell you anything about it?
No.
That she broke something?
No, ma'am.
Okay, when did she finally tell you she broke something?
When Kara contacted me that the apartments were contacting her, then
Okay.
I asked my daughter about it, and she told me what she told you.
Great. Can I see the letter from the complex, please?
Kara hands the document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it. Caption, coming up.
Do you know how many children she has?
She has 3 children.
So she's dispossessed from her apartment. That's 4 people who are homeless. She's going to lose this housing unless she pays the damage that your daughter caused. That doesn't seem reasonable for her to lose her housing, does it?
And later today,
There's no question in my mind that you left this mess because she was quadrupling your rent. But you were annoyed. You're still not allowed to leave a place like this.
A woman shakes her head. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Kara, Jania, and Niari.
Kara Simmons claims her former friend, Jania Freeman, owes for water damage caused by Jania's 14-year-old daughter.
So what this says is that they looked at this video because they tried to determine what caused the leak in a commercial business operating in the building. The leak caused substantial damage, $9,927 to be exact as a result, because this was a water pipe and it was broken. Okay, and it tells her that unless they get this $9,927, she's going to lose her housing, right?
Yes.
Your fault. What can I tell you? Don't let your mother ask. I'm asking you, what's the issue? You caused the damage, whether you accidentally hit that pipe initially. You knew you shouldn't have been there. And it's clear that whatever you were doing, you were jumping with full force with both feet on that pipe. That's clear. You tried to pick it up. You leaned over at least twice to try to pick it up and then put it down and then stomped on it. Clearly, you weren't supposed to be there. The landlord is holding her responsible because under the terms of her lease, she's responsible for any damage caused by not only a member of her household, but an invited guest. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. So sometimes if you're acting stupid, nothing happens. Sometimes if you're acting stupid, a lot of things happen. Do you know how many children she has?
She has 3 children.
They all live at home?
They all were there, yes.
Yeah. So if she's dispossessed from her apartment, that's 4 people who are homeless. She's going to lose this housing unless she pays the damage that your daughter caused. That doesn't seem reasonable for her to lose her housing, does it?
No, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
The truth is that you don't host a party and you don't watch the children that are on your property.
They're teenagers. They're old enough to be outside alone.
All of those children were in the planter at some point, but it's fine.
There were no other children in the planter.
I would think that there should have been something for like flood, fire, or earthquake damage in place, so I don't know.
But she should take responsibility for her daughter. That's not my responsibility.
Judy.
Relatively simple. You know, I think that there is an age, Sarah, where even under these circumstances, a child can be out unsupervised. Certainly, the defendant's defense in her answer said that her daughter was out unsupervised because she left the party for something for a short period of time. Well, there's no issue that a 14-year-old
Doesn't need to be constantly
be supervised. You usually use a 14-year-old to supervise other young children.
I do think it was an accident. I think that she knew she probably wasn't supposed to be in the planter, but once we saw the video, it was playful. They were playing a ball from up high, down low. I understood the situation after we saw it. You also understood that the stomping full force as a 14-year-old could do some real damage, especially inside a planter that's supposed to be a delicate, untouched area. So I understood. I think the defendants were in a tough position. They knew it was their fault. I appreciated that they took responsibility for
sort of. The daughter did.
The
daughter did. I'm not so sure about the mother.
I think the mother saw the big price tag attached to the responsibility and maybe tried to backtrack a little. But yeah, I mean, accidents happen, but there are big consequences for...
She learned that lesson, this young woman, today.
I hope that they did.
Case 2185, Francis versus Morris. All parties, please step forward.
Danielle and Michael Francis are suing their former tenant, Anthony Morris, for property damage and loss of income.
Miss Francis?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is this?
It's my husband.
Well, this has to do with the ownership of a home. Do you both own the home, or just did you inherit the home?
It doesn't have to do with ownership of the home. It's a case about property damage.
I understand that.
Yes, ma'am.
But somebody owns the home. Who owns the home is
I
the
do.
question. Not your husband.
Correct.
Have a seat. Let's not confuse it. Ms. Francis, you had a brother.
Yes, ma'am.
Whose name was?
Julius.
How old was he?
My brother was 38.
And your brother owned a home?
Yes.
How long did your brother own this home?
He just purchased a home in 2017.
Do you know how much he paid for it?
About $123,000.
Was there a mortgage on the house?
Yes, ma'am.
How much is left on the mortgage?
$110,000 now.
Do you know how much the house is worth?
Yes, ma'am.
How much?
It's worth $213,000 now.
So almost double.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, your brother passed away when?
June of 2020.
From what?
Pancreatic cancer.
So it was relatively fast.
Yes, it was. He was actually diagnosed in 2019. So in early 2019, I became his caregiver, taking him back and forth to the doctor and chemo visits, as well as my husband.
Okay. Now, Mr. Morris,
Yes, ma'am.
you had been a roommate of Julius.
That is correct.
For how long?
I moved into the house on October 19th, 2019.
And you paid rent.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when Julius got sick, according to what I read, you never moved into the house with Julius. You just took him to where he needed to be. Is that correct? You lived with your husband.
Yes, ma'am.
You lived with your husband, and you came as needed to take your brother to medical appointments, et cetera. You lived in the house with him.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Partially.
What's not partially?
At the end of my brother's illness, I moved in with him because
How much before?
I would say March of 2020.
So for a couple of months, towards the end, you moved in. But during the course of the year, you lived with your husband and you lived in the house with Julius. And when you were living in the house with Julius, did you give any assistance to him in any way?
Yes, ma'am. I took him to the hospital several times. I cooked for him, and I pretty much did the chores and ran the errands for him.
Did you know him before you moved into the house?
I did not.
Okay. After Julius passed away, you inherited the house.
Yes, ma'am.
Did he have a will?
Yes, ma'am.
And the will specifically gave you the house?
Yes, ma'am.
And you and the defendant determined that he would remain a tenant in June of 2020. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
There came a time when you moved out, Mr. Morris.
Yes, that's correct.
And what month and year did you move out?
June 1st, I believe, of 2022, correct.
And what was the reason that you moved out?
I moved out because the rent had went up for a second time.
What was it when you were living with Julius?
$650.
And then when Miss Frances inherited the house, did she modify the rent?
She did.
In what month?
I'm not specifically, I can't answer that question.
What did she raise the rent to?
Approximately $1,200.
Was that the first increase?
That was correct.
How long did that increase stay in place?
That had to be for a year. That was the term of that lease.
And what happened after the year?
She raised the rent again.
To what?
Well, that's when I didn't accept that lease.
What did she ask?
$1,575.
She wanted $1,575.
Yes, ma'am.
And you determined that that was too much rent for you?
I did.
So you gave notice you were leaving?
I did.
Caption, coming up.
She's going to show me what she considers $5,000 worth of damage to the house. I want to see it.
Yes, ma'am.
Now I want you to show me what damage you are ascribing to him from the house.
Okay, I have the pictures here, Your Honor.
Okie dokie.
Sarah smirks. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Danielle and Anthony.
Danielle and Michael Francis claim their former tenant, Anthony Morris, damaged their property while renting from them.
When did you give notice you were leaving?
30 days before June 1st.
Okay. And when was the lease up?
June 1st, it would expire.
Now, after your brother passed away and you inherited the house, did you maintain the same rent that he was paying to your brother?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So when did you raise his rent and to what amount?
I raised the rent in November
Okay.
of 2021.
To what?
To $14.95.
That was the first time you raised his rent?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you knew what his rent was when he was living with your brother?
Correct.
And how much was his rent when he was living with your brother?
It was $625.
So, in effect, you increased his rent a little over 200%.
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor. Can I explain the reason to that?
No, it's irrelevant what the reason was.
Okay.
He was paying rent of $625. You raised it to $1,500. Now, at the end of that term, were you going to raise his rent again?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
To what?
It was going to be an $80 increase to $1,575.
Now, during that 2-month period that you lived in the house, you had no issue with regard to the way Mr. Morris maintained the house while you were living there with your brother. And that fact is buttressed by the fact that you maintained him as a tenant, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you saw the way he maintained the house, and having seen that, you continued him as a tenant.
Correct.
And you raised his rent substantially, and he paid that rent.
Correct.
And he paid that rent sufficiently so that you were prepared to re-rent him the house, but you just wanted a little more money.
Correct.
Correct. Now he moves out on June 1st of this year. And now you say that he caused almost $5,000 worth of damage. And because he had damage, you lost income because you couldn't re-rent the house.
Correct.
You moved out in June of 2020.
Yes, ma'am.
You have a new tenant in the house.
Yes, ma'am, I do now.
And how much rent is she paying?
She is paying $2,200 a month.
And when did her lease start?
Her lease started in September.
So your premises was not rented for 2 months.
Correct.
And when it was rented from the 2-year period of time between your brother's death and your re-renting the house, the rent went from $625 to $2,200.
Yes, ma'am.
Doesn't sound like you're losing any money.
Well, there's
Just a second.
Okay.
Doesn't sound like you're losing any money. So I'm not interested in the loss of income that you had. You had no loss of income. Anybody who lives in a house can't rent from June 1st. House has to be painted, normal wear and tear. You may have to redo carpeting. That's the normal wear and tear. Had to be done because that's what you do when you want to get $2,200 rent from somebody for a house. You have to paint it up. You have to freshen it up. You have to do all of those things. So what I want to see from you are photographs of what, other than cleaning out the house, which Mr. Morris acknowledges for whatever reason there was stuff left in the house. Correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
That belonged to you.
Yes, ma'am.
And that you didn't clean out.
I did not.
Now, you left on June 1st, and I'm telling her that she's going to show me what she considers $5,000 worth of damage to the house. I want to see it.
Yes, ma'am.
You agree that you left some stuff in the house. She probably has a bill for cleaning out some of that stuff. That she's entitled to. Now I want you to show me what damage you are ascribing to him from the house.
Okay, I have the pictures here, Your Honor.
Okie dokie.
Danielle produces photos.
Also, can I present in evidence what the room that the defendant rented out, what it looked like prior to the damages?
No, I don't see any damages. I see mess.
There's pictures in there, Your Honor.
I'm looking.
The damages, the carpet was damaged very badly. He messed up my mattress in my second bedroom. The doors was damaged. He actually changed the lock on the second bedroom door and the master room bedroom door without my
You see all this
knowledge.
stuff, sir? Shh,
Yes,
just a
ma'am.
sec. This is all your junk, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you should have a substantial bill for cleaning and getting rid of this.
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Danielle produces a document, then hands it to Kevin. He brings it to Judy, who reviews it.
So you paid $760 to clean out the house.
Yes, ma'am.
Make it move in clean.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what you're entitled to, Miss Francis. $760. You can't leave a place like that.
Also, Your Honor, I had other damages as well. My microwave was broken.
I don't know who broke that, and you don't know.
I know it was working when he
Who
was
knows?
there.
May have been working, may have been not working.
Everything was in top-notch condition, from appliances to flooring, when Mr. Morris was at the house. So he broke my microwave.
Fix it.
I have fixed it, and I'm asking for the cost of a replacement for a new one.
No, wait.
Why not?
Because I'm not convinced, madam, that somebody who, according to you, helped you with your brother, was there and supportive for the last year of his life. He certainly left a mess, which you're not supposed to do, sir.
I understand.
You're not supposed to leave a mess. And this is clearly a mess. And there's no question in my mind that you left this mess because she was quadrupling your rent. But to her, this is a business. And she's not living there with her husband. This has now become a business investment. Her investment increased in value. It was really Julius's investment, but it increased in real estate value. And instead of seeing $600 a month, which probably doesn't cover the taxes and mortgage, she now has a profit because she's now getting $2,200 a month from somebody, and that covers, of course, her mortgage and whatever taxes they are. You were annoyed? You're still not allowed to leave a place like this. $760, judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
Court is adjourned.
It's kind of upsetting because the defendant really trashed my brother's house, given that we considered him like family.
I was like family with them. I took care of the brother for a long period of time. I wouldn't have left the house like that.
And for him to turn around and do this and cause all those damages and then get off scot-free, it's heartbreaking.
Number one, there were no damages.
You know what? Nothing good ever comes to someone who does people like this.
Money does change people, and so you have to be careful.
Be careful who you rent to.
Sarah.
So I just did some research on the home while we were out there, and I found some interesting information just based on some of the plaintiff's claims. So I did find that the house was sold to the brother in 2017 for $123,000. But the plaintiff listed the home for rent for the first time July 22nd for $2,300 listed for rent when she became the owner.
And he moved out in June, beginning of June.
So her claim for lost income doesn't really make sense because she had it listed on Zillow at least. I'm not sure it could have been listed before then. That's just when Zillow picked up on it. I'm not sure how their algorithms work, but she was unable to get the $2,300 presumably because she reduced it to $2,200 in August of 2022. And then it was removed later in August at that $2,200 mark, presumably whoever, the new tenant that she now has.
So she had no real lost income.
Exactly. She had the money.
Dallas Lee for child care services, late fees, and property damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin.
Hello, Judge. Case 2175, Grimm versus Lee.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Miss Grimm, in what state do you live?
Missouri.
In what county?
Jackson.
You have a daycare center?
An in-home child care, yes.
For how long?
I started September of 2022.
What is your house like?
I have a single-family home with a finished basement and then like an attic Type is 2 bedrooms.
House has 2 bedrooms?
No, up in the attic has 2 bedrooms. It's technically a 3-bedroom house, but it has made 6 rooms.
And how many children do you have?
I currently have 7.
How old are they?
14, 13, 11, 8, 5, and 3, and 18 months.
3 and 18 months.
I'm sorry, she's 4 now. She just turned 4.
So the older ones go to school. Does the 5-year-old go to school?
Yes.
And the 8-year-old goes to school?
Correct.
So you have 2 little ones at home?
My 4-year-old goes to early childhood, half a day.
So you have 1 child at home during the day?
Correct.
And 1 half a day?
Yes.
And you have 3 children?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are they?
I now have a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a 5-month-old.
And those were the children that you enrolled in her daycare center?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Grimm, what kind of licensing do you have, an application that do you have to make in order to run an in-home daycare center in Missouri?
So in the state of Missouri, as long as you have under 6 children, you do not have to have a license.
As long as you have 6 children in total in the house, or 6 children
that I'm watching?
That you're watching?
Correct. Because my school children are not considered watching, like under the law.
Well, you certainly have to watch your 18-month-old.
Yes, he's the only one. That's why I've always kept 5 children or less.
It is your claim that Miss Lee entered her children into your program. She paid you for a certain period of time. She owes you for 2 weeks.
Correct.
And were those 2 weeks that her children were actually in care?
Correct.
Which 2 weeks were those?
They are the last 2 weeks of October.
Of 2022?
Correct.
And the children were in your program?
Correct.
Miss Lee, were the children in Miss Grimm's program the last 2 weeks in October?
Yes, ma'am, they were.
Did you pay her for the last 2 weeks in October?
No, ma'am, I did not.
How much were you supposed to pay her?
For the last 2 weeks was supposed to be $600 because our agreement was $600 every 2 weeks.
Okay, so it was supposed to be $600.
Yes, ma'am.
So now the ball is in your court so far. Ms. Grimm, we're not talking about a late fee. We're just talking about these 2 weeks.
Correct.
First, tell me your reason for removing the children.
I removed my children out of her care because my children, every time that I picked them up, it was either they were harmed or injured, or my son, my 3-year-old, would tell me something had happened while I was gone at work in her care. My son had told me on numerous accounts that she hit him herself, and then he also told me that her 15-year-old son, or 14, I'm sorry, had also spanked him. And when I did ask him, or I asked her actually, I said, "Who is Trey?" Because he said, "Mommy, Trey hit me. We were getting in the car." They normally do help me get in the car with my 3 children, seeing I have one who's barely walking.
You get going all over the place.
Yes, ma'am. So they normally help me get in the car with my children, so they were outside with us. And my son said, "Mommy, Trey hit me like this." I didn't know any Trey, so I asked her, "Who is Trey?" And she said, "That's my son." And he said, "That's me." He was standing right there next to her. He said, "I'm Trey." And I said, "Bryson said that you hit him." And he said, "Yes, I hit Bryson." He said, "I popped him because Bryson wasn't doing right. Bryson didn't want to go to timeout."
On what day was that?
That was on October 25th.
And what was the last day that your children attended?
October 27th.
Okay, so despite the fact that Trey, your Trey?
Yes, ma'am.
Slapped the 3-year-old, said that he slapped the 3-year-old, you let him stay there for an extra 2 days?
Yes, ma'am.
Just that's it, yes. Now, where were you working that you had your children in daycare?
I was working as a CNA.
What is that?
A certified nurse's assistant.
Where?
It's a
nursing home?
Rehab. Yes, ma'am.
When did you start working there?
I started working there in September.
September of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
Beginning of September?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you stop working there?
I stopped working there October 27th. That was my last day.
If I were to call, would they tell me that they terminated you or you quit?
I quit.
Did you quit on the 27th?
Yes, ma'am.
And what about now? Are you working?
I am.
Who are you working for?
I work through a temp agency, working per diem at different locations as a CNA.
And who takes care of your children?
My stepmom. My children,
Just a second. And when did you start that job?
I started that job about 4 weeks ago.
So in December?
Yes, ma'am. Late November or so.
Caption, coming up.
You left the children there until the end of October. It couldn't have been so disturbing for you, madam, to leave the children there until the end of October, another 6 weeks, if you felt as if they weren't getting adequate care. And if you did, that would be on you.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Shanice and Dallas.
Shanice Grimm claims her client, Dallas Lee, refused to pay for childcare services. Dallas is countersuing for lost wages and emotional distress.
So a relative has been taking care of your children?
Yes, ma'am. Not all three of them. I had to send my two sons because I had to rearrange my daycare situation. I had to send them back to Texas to be with their dad.
So two of them went back to their father?
Yes, ma'am.
And who do you live with here?
I live with my dad.
What does he do?
My dad is a nuclear medicine technologist.
So your stepmom takes care of one of the children?
My 5-month-old daughter, yes, ma'am.
Who's in the house? Now you're going to tell me why you didn't pay her for the last 2 weeks.
So my children began in her care September 12th. September 13th, she sent me a text message while I was at work, and she said, I want to let you know, Lil Mama was bit today by my 1-year-old on her cheek. She sent me a picture. I have this.
Not interested. Okay. I mean, it's not that I'm disinterested. It's that don't show me anything from September, madam. You kept your children with her into October and through the end of October. And if anything was so concerning to you that you thought your children would be at risk, I'm certain that you would have discussed it with your father, and your father would have said to you, don't speak. And your father would have said to you, if you have a problem with the children, don't let them stay there. What you did, okay, I can see that you're dying to tell me something. What?
Yes, ma'am.
Dallas's father, Gary.
My daughter had no other choice but to keep her children in care because I work a full-time job.
Let me explain something to you, sir. Your daughter was living with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. There is always an alternative, sir. I have young grandchildren, and I would say if I was legitimately concerned for their health and safety, I don't care what it is, stay home and take care of your children. You'll have a roof over your head until you find appropriate daycare. And if you didn't do that, then you're not much of a grandfather.
Well,
you can't use something that happened in September or early October to say, well, that's why I didn't pay the last 2 weeks. So you can't make excuses, sir. I'm telling you, I'm a grandmother and I've had little children. I don't care what you had to do. Quit my job, whatever that job is, and say, we'll all stay home and take care of the children until you find, or you stay home and take care of the children. I'll provide you with whatever basics you need until you get the right daycare. And if you didn't do that, don't tell me that your daughter didn't have a choice. There is always a choice when your babies are concerned.
In our estimation at that time, we were giving her some hard life lessons because she does now have 3 children, and there are going to be some difficulties in this living situation. There are going to be some things. So what we're doing, we're giving her some tough love and saying, hey, you cannot give up just because the chips are down or because things happen. You have to try to figure things out.
Well, that would be on you. That's not on her. This is not her daughter. It's your daughter.
Absolutely.
And your grandchildren, sir.
Absolutely.
And if you want to teach her some real hard lessons and say, you got to stay with the daycare, even though you're dissatisfied.
We said give her a chance because it was the first day.
So.
It was the first incident, first day. We said give her a chance. Things happen sometimes.
What I don't want to hear is from you, who seem like a very intelligent man, a working man, is my daughter had no choice. Your daughter has a choice. Her choice is to say to you, Dad, please, I have to find the right daycare. I have to stop working at this job. I may need a month. You may not have liked her previous irresponsible behavior, right?
Correct.
But the deed is done. She got 3 young children.
Beautiful children.
Right? So what you do is when you have 3 young, beautiful children, you protect them.
Absolutely.
And if you're not smart enough to protect them yourself, you got to rely on your father who's smart enough to do that. What I'm saying to you is your daughter used this lady's services and she has to pay for it. She may not send her children back, but your statement that you were so anxious to make to me, which is my daughter had no choice, she did have a choice, sir. She did have a choice. Before I would let my children stay in a place where I actually believed that they were being abused, because that's what she's suggesting. I mean, she's not suggesting that this young man, who I'm not condoning hitting a 3-year-old, gave him a slap on the rear end. I'm not condoning that. But there were no injuries to him. I don't know whether you've done it. I don't know whether she's done it to her child. You certainly don't want a daycare provider's child to discipline a 3-year-old.
Absolutely.
That's not what it's about.
But after the first incident, what we were trying to teach her is that you don't just throw in the towel, because Ms. Grimm was just starting her service up. And
September 5th.
So we understand that there are going to be some hiccups and some things that she has to fix as she comes across them. And so she's a young lady. My daughter's a young lady. So as an older man, I'm trying to support two individuals to build their lives up. And so I told my daughter, I don't like that she was bitten, but at least she came forward very quickly and told you. So leave them there for now. And if anything else transpires, then we can start to look at things then. Yes, ma'am.
Who do you work for, sir?
I work for the Veterans Administration.
And how long have you worked for the Veterans Administration?
21 years.
Do you get paid every 2 weeks?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's say your boss at the VA all of a sudden decided they didn't like the work you were doing. And you left and they owed you 2 weeks' pay because you had actually worked for the 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
And you sued them for those 2 weeks. You worked there. You said, well, we didn't like the quality of his work for those 2 weeks. Well, then you fire him, but you pay him. It's like going to a restaurant. My favorite analogy is you go into your favorite restaurant where you get a steak. And you order a steak, medium, Pittsburgh medium. Steak comes, you cut into it, you take a bite. Oh my God, you say, I don't like the way this tastes. You take the plate, you spit out the bite if you're smart, call the waiter over and say, this is a bad steak, right?
Absolutely.
And the waiter takes it off the bill or you order something else. Now you cut into that same steak, you taste, you say, this tastes terrible. Maybe the next bite will taste better. Before you know it, you've finished the whole steak. Waiter comes over to take your clean plate. You say, this steak was awful. I didn't like it. It was bad. Well, what'd you eat it for? But if you ate the steak, you got to pay for it. If you take a bite and say it's no good, I'm in your corner. Send it back. But your daughter ate the steak. She used her services for 2 weeks and didn't pay her.
Well, we can't say that she used her services because there are other pieces of evidence that we have.
Well, you mean you're talking about that sometimes she left the children with her husband?
Yes.
Yeah. Baloney. Your daughter had the benefit of daycare so that she could work.
Gary shrugs. Caption coming up.
If you're not satisfied with the service, you stop using the service. If you continue to use the service despite the fact that you're not satisfied with it, you gotta pay for it. That's America. You got paid, your father got paid, she gets paid.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Shanice and Dallas.
Shanice Grimm has accused her client, Dallas Lee, of refusing to pay for childcare services. Dallas claims Shanice wrongfully disciplined and neglected her children.
Your daughter had the benefit of daycare so that she could work.
Absolutely.
And she had the benefit of daycare from this lady that enabled your daughter to make money.
But if we're talking breach of contract, the contract was breached when the husband watched the child. And
now you're not teaching your daughter responsibility. Now you're making excuses. Now you're not teaching your daughter responsibility. Your daughter worked to make money. You worked those last 2 weeks, didn't stay home with your grandchildren. You made money.
Absolutely.
The only one that didn't make money and had her 3 children for those 2 weeks was the plaintiff. She ate the steak. She used the service. She didn't have anybody else. It's not as if, well, I had to hire somebody else to take care of the kids the last 2 weeks, even though it was in my deal. So that's why I'm not paying them. She worked, you worked, she worked. And if her husband, if she ran out to the store and left her husband, unless you're telling me that that was such a breach of the agreement that your daughter took the children out of her program. Did she? No, she did not. She didn't say, I'm not allowing your husband to take care of my children, even if it's just for an hour. I'm taking my children out of the program. Dad, can you help me out for the next couple of weeks until I find something else? But you can't eat the steak, which she did. Now you can sit down.
Can I say one more thing?
Not if you want to continue to look foolish. Now you're not teaching her responsibility.
Well,
now you're not teaching her responsibility. I don't want to have to teach you responsibility.
Well, you don't have to. I'm a veteran. I know what responsibility is. But when you are promoting your program as one thing, but your service is another, I cannot say that if Bobby Flay is cooking the steak.
It doesn't matter who was cooking the steak. It was whether you ate the steak. It's whether you ate the steak.
I get what you're saying, Judge. But if it's promoted as Bobby Flay cooking it and Bob Berger cooked it, and I don't like the taste, then those are two different things.
Oh, no, sir. If you're promoting Bobby Flay as cooking the steak and you find, or the hamburger, and you find out that Bobby Flay's younger brother was cooking the steak or was cooking the burger, and either way, if the burger is no good, you're not going to eat it. But you can't eat it and say, well, I really thought I was getting a Bobby Flay hamburger, and I didn't get a Bobby Flay hamburger, so I'm not going to pay for it, even though I ate it. Now you can sit down. How much is 2 weeks' worth of care? $600?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff, $600. You have a counterclaim. Counterclaim is ridiculous. Money owed for lost wages, emotional distress on behalf of the children. You shouldn't have emotional distress on behalf of the children, madam. You're their mother. The first time you had an inkling that you felt that your young children were being neglected in the plaintiff's care, what you should have done was remove them. Remove them. First time you felt as if 3-year-old shouldn't have been subject of a slap by this young man? Great. Remove them. You found that the baby, the little one, was bitten by her little one. You say, that's not watching them carefully enough, because they, I think, are supposed to be separated, correct?
Yes.
No, we were all in one room, so they weren't having to be separated, because with me only having less than 4 children, there was no way of separating because there was only one me.
It's a big responsibility to take care of little children.
Correct.
My daughter shouldn't have been in his reach. She did tell me that she left out of the room.
I agree with you.
She left out of the room is what she told me, Judge. So that's actually not true. She told me that she left out of the room and went to the kitchen.
What day? Give me the date that happened.
September 13th.
You left the children there until the end of October. It couldn't have been so disturbing for you, madam, to leave the children there until the end of October, another 6 weeks, if you felt as if they weren't getting adequate care. And if you did, that would be on you. And maybe a little bit on your father. Because if you told him about it, said, oh my God, that's terrible. Take my child out right away. All 3 of them. But you didn't. You left them in there September 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, all the way up until the end of September and the end of October. That's on you.
Actually, she did not have them in the end of September because she was suspended from her job. So they were gone for 2 weeks in September.
Were you suspended from your job?
I was. I had to...
That's my question. You were suspended from your job. When you were suspended from your job, did you take the children out of daycare?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that's reasonable. She didn't give you a problem with that, I assume.
No.
And you didn't pay for those 2 weeks?
I did not.
Great. Well, these 2 weeks you're going to pay for. Because
I don't believe I owe her anything.
I don't care what you believe. If you're not listening to what I'm saying to you and you're fixed in your opinion, that means you haven't learned anything. Your father tried to teach you a little bit of tough love? What I'm telling you is, if you work, you get paid. If you're not satisfied with the service, you stop using the service. If you continue to use the service despite the fact that you're not satisfied with it, you gotta pay for it. That's America. You got paid, your father got paid, she gets paid. She didn't get paid for the 2 weeks you took your kids out. Didn't say to you, well, you have to pay me anyway. I have to keep this open for you. That was very fair. Took the kids out, didn't pay. You left your kids in, you pay $600. Your counterclaim's dismissed. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Dallas, then Shanice.
I am a little upset she didn't see things my way.
The judge was kind of in my favor for the majority of it.
You know, her leaving my children in the care of her 15-year-old son and also her husband.
And why did she continue bringing her children to me for another month?
Also, my son letting me know that, you know, she hit him.
I have never touched her children. I could take a lie detector test to prove it.
It was pretty difficult for me because I didn't have any other choices. I didn't have anyone else who could help me with keeping all 3 of my children while I work.
She actually never gave me excuses. She actually just told me she was going to pay me.
Life is not easy.
If you work, you should get paid.
But you get back up and you keep moving.
Sarah and Judy.
My generation, I'm not sure about yours, I haven't had much experience in yours, but in mine, I think we confuse having to make a hard choice with being out of options. Here, I felt for the defendant. She had to make a hard choice.
Ashley Jackson for filing false CPS reports and defamation of character.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches the bench.
Case 2176, Hernandez versus Jackson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Hernandez, you and the defendants are neighbors.
Yes.
You more recently moved into the neighborhood?
Yes, on February 25th of 2022.
And you've been living there for about a year?
Year and a half.
I have complaints and cross-complaints. Each one of you are claiming that the other is guilty of harassment. The defendant, in addition to the harassment, says that there was an assault on, that would be on you?
Me.
On you, by the plaintiff.
Yes.
And false police reports, reports to Child Welfare Administration. Each one of you is requesting serious damages as a result of this ongoing harassment and assault. And I gather from reading the papers that when you moved in, the whole bad feeling between neighbors started because of a parking space. Would that be correct?
Correct.
So your car is the white car?
Correct.
Tell me about the problem when you first moved in with the car, and go over to the chart.
Okay.
A photo of two cars.
So a month after I moved in, I politely asked Pamela if she
Just a
can...
second. Pamela, that would be you.
Yes.
Your last name is Jackson.
Yes.
Okay. So you asked Miss Jackson, whose car is the car parked in front of yours?
Yes, this one.
Okay. So you said to Miss Jackson, go ahead.
I told her if she could please scoot up. We were both pulling in at the same time. We were coming back at the same time, so I thought I could politely ask her if she could just scoot up.
I don't know what that means, and perhaps other people do, but I don't. You asked her to move her car.
Yes, just a little bit forward, because on the handicap, the yellow line ends right there.
No, see, look at me. You asked her to, I see a handicap sign. So you asked her to move up.
Yes.
Why?
Because she parks so further back, and when the neighbors park back there, I have to like parallel park, and sometimes I'm in a rush, so I just, want to just get out to go to work or to drop the kids off to school.
So you you don't like to parallel park?
I do, but sometimes it's too, I just wanted to politely ask her if she could just scoot up a little bit, because she has a bunch of space in the front. Well, so I just thought I could...
I don't see a whole bunch of space. What is handicap? Where is that handicap spot?
Right here in front of her house.
Right there? You have a handicap sign?
When I moved in, I was told I could park there
Just a
because that's
second.
the old one. No, I do not.
You do not, so you shouldn't be parking there anyway.
I was told I could because that was the old sign. That's why they dismissed the ticket that she called to get when I didn't move my car.
Just a second. You can't tell me what somebody else said to you. There's a handicap sign.
Police department,
There's a
Marshall.
What, did you have something from the police department indicating that you can park in a handicap spot?
No, they removed it the next day and dismissed it because of that.
Just a second. Is the sign still there?
No, they removed it immediately.
Okay, fine.
Because
so
of
the sign was removed?
Yes.
And what is that alleyway where the trash can is?
That's the driveway for the next door neighbor's
house. Just a second. So that what she's doing in parking her car there is permitting the trash cans, which are supposed to be out into the street, right? Point to the trash can.
Yes, right here.
So the trash can is supposed to be out in the street. In order to get back to the house, somebody who lives in that back house has to pull all the way around the trash can and her car if she moves her car up.
Your Honor.
It makes it that much more difficult for the person who lives behind.
I understand. For trash day is understandable.
I don't care. She doesn't. You have to understand, Ms. Hernandez, that she didn't have to accommodate you so that you don't have to parallel park.
I just thought I could ask her politely, and I didn't think it was going to be
okay. So let's go back a second. Now you can go back. So that's what started the trouble. You said politely. Tell me exactly what you said to her. Tell me exactly what you said to her, and you said that happened in March. Go ahead.
I asked her, I said, excuse me, can you please scoot up a little bit so that I can parallel park? There was no trash
No,
that
just a
day.
second. I don't care. Trash, no trash.
That's how I
she
asked.
doesn't have to figure Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I have to scoot up my car because she doesn't like to parallel park. Do you understand? Trash day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Recycling Tuesday and Thursday, but not every week, every other week. So I have to remember to scoot up so that my young neighbor doesn't have to parallel park. It's ridiculous. Okay. It's ridiculous. Is that the way she asked you?
No.
What did she say?
The way she told me was, ma'am, I would appreciate if you would just move around and park in the back. Now, the alleyway, it's illegal to
No, just
park.
a second. She said, let's go slowly.
So
ma'am.
she said, ma'am, I would appreciate if you would please move around to the back alleyway. I need parking for all my friends and family.
No, true. Your Honor, that's not true.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
Caption coming up. Judy with a cell phone.
Sarah, I don't know what this is.
You don't have to keep hitting it. That's the whole video.
Thank you. If I hit it, maybe I hit it on the table a little.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well,
that only works with your phone.
It only works on my
Yeah.
phone? Fresh mouth.
Sarah grins. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Lynette, Pamela, and Ashley.
Lynette Hernandez claims her neighbor, Pamela Jackson, filed false CPS reports and defamed her. Pamela is countersuing for an assault.
Okay, she asked you to move, and you said to her, your response to her was, it's a public street, I'll park where I want to park.
I tried to explain to her I have arthritis, so if you'll see, I park where I can walk around my car and go up the walkway.
I don't care, you don't have to justify it to me, I asked you the question. You responded what? What did you?
The way I responded was for...
Think. If you don't remember, say I don't remember.
I
Don't
remember.
make it up.
I remember because I've stated this the whole time. Every time, even the police have sat there and asked why I parked there, because she's called the police over this multiple times. I have even explained to them, I park the way I do.
No, I want you to tell me.
I told her, I says, I'm older, I have arthritis, I park where I do to be able to use my walkway. Her response was, you'll have a better access to your walkway if you pull up. I said, no, the person on my passenger side would, then I have to go up in the grass.
Nope.
I need the walkway for stability because I've already had one fall.
Okay, whatever. You told her I can't accommodate you.
Yes.
Your Honor, that's not true because it didn't take that long. She got in her car and she actually got in and she screwed up.
And she moved up a little bit.
She moved up a little bit because the trash can wasn't there.
Okay, so you asked her, ma'am, could you move up a little bit? And so what you're telling me is she accommodated you.
She did.
And she didn't say anything to you.
So I thought it was okay.
And then what happened?
And then whenever I was parking, I got off and I told her, I was like, thank you. And then that's when she got upset.
No. In March, what you're saying is you asked her to scoot up, and she did.
And she did.
When was the next date that something happened with the car?
April 6th, she called the cops for the first time because she parked, that's how she parked. She parked very close to my car, as you can see on the picture. She started parking close to me like that. She called the cops for the first time.
Just a second. That photograph was taken April 6th?
Yes, ma'am.
Of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you were parked right in front of your house?
Yes, ma'am.
First. And she parked in front of you?
Correct.
And you're telling me that she called the police?
Correct.
Is that correct?
No.
Okay. Show me that she called the police on April 6th.
She did?
She called the police and then she was telling them that...
No. Can't tell me what she was telling them. I want to see where she called the police on April 6th. She said she didn't. Is that what you just said to me?
I called the police. I'm not the one that parked. I was already parked there. When she pulled up on me, I called the police because she tapped my back end before she pulled back.
Incorrect.
Okay, so you were parked there already?
I was already there, and it's an ongoing issue for months. She would pull up on me and sometimes tap my bumper.
And you were in the car?
I wasn't in the car.
So
I was inside.
So you just saw her parked very close to you?
I saw her tap my bumper.
Okay, and that's when you called the police?
Yes.
Okay.
And she knew because she was recording me calling them.
Do you have that?
It's even on her TikTok.
I'd like to see.
I do because she was lying to them and said that I hit her car and I did not hit her car.
Which shows she was the one pulling in.
Well, but the scenario that she's telling Ms. Hernandez, that she's telling me, is different from what you told me. So let's get it clear. Was her car parked there first or yours?
Mine was parked there first.
And she says hers was parked there first. That means that she would have to back into that spot, whatever it was.
And she did.
Just a second. That's what you want me. She backed into that spot and backed in very close to your car.
Yes.
I don't believe that.
This is.
I don't believe that. That doesn't.
Okay.
I don't believe that. You're going to have to prove that to me because that would be silly.
A photo of the two cars.
I see what you're showing me. What you're showing me is consistent with the cars being very close together. But you want me to believe that she actually backed into that spot.
She did.
Oh, it's a video?
Here. Your Honor, she did park like that day.
Yeah. I hope this video will show me that. I don't know what this... Sarah.
Yeah.
Am I getting the whole...
Yeah, you don't have to keep hitting it. That's the whole video. That's it.
Could we do it again?
Yeah.
Thank you. If I hit it, maybe I hit it on the table a little.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well,
that only works with your phone.
It only works on my
Yeah.
phone? Fresh math.
Sarah grins.
Yeah, all right, this is useless. Okay, so the police came out, and was there a police report?
I have it right here.
May I have it, please?
Ashley hands a document to Kevin.
Who else lives in the house with you, Miss Hernandez?
Me and my 2 children.
Kevin brings the document to Judy, who reviews it.
Oh, well, that was nasty. Over a parking space? How unfortunate.
I'd like to see that.
Absolutely.
Kevin brings the document to Lynette.
Thank you.
She reviews it.
Oh, yes. The officer actually didn't believe her because there was nothing on her car.
Doesn't have to be anything on her car.
But she's
you
making...
you tap somebody's bumper, there isn't always damage. That's close enough for me. Okay, give me the paper back.
The officer did not believe her because she lied. She made false accusations, saying that I was threatening her with a knife and with a baby in my arm. Officer didn't believe her because...
Don't tell me what the officer believed or what the officer didn't believe, madam. It's irrelevant what you think the officer believed. If the officer was here, I would question the officer. Okay, it all started over a parking space. And you have to understand, I'm not sympathetic with you. You move into a neighborhood, something is established in the neighborhood, because I'm sure she didn't wait to park in that spot just when you moved in. That's where she's been parking her car. It's not that you don't have a place to park. You have a place to park in front of your house. That's the defendant's house. Her car is parked right in front of her house. You have a place to park. Your car is parked right in front of your house. You want her to move to make it easier for you so that you don't have to struggle to park, so you could just scoot in and scoot out.
I just didn't want to risk hitting her car for being in a garage because the people behind me would park pretty close up.
Who cares? It's a public street. I don't care if you park on Mars. Then park someplace else on the street. It would bother me if that was my driveway and there was a car that was right up to the edge of that driveway, causing me to have to swing out wide every time I pulled into my driveway. And I couldn't do it during trash days because it's even a wider turn. Also that you didn't have to parallel park. I'm telling you, I'm not sympathetic with that.
Caption, coming up.
You're not entitled to a public street parking spot. That's sort of an entitlement that what generation?
Gen Z.
Gen Z. This is going to cause the demise of this country.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Lynette, Pamela, and Ashley.
Lynette Hernandez has accused her neighbor, Pamela Jackson, of defaming her on social media. Pamela claims Lynette assaulted her with a trash can.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 27.
You're 27. Well, that makes sense. Is that called Gen X? Is that a Gen X? What is that?
I think it's a Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Yeah.
Gen Z, yes.
Your Honor,
there's a whole bunch of entitlements with Gen Z people.
Your Honor, I don't think it's...
Just a second.
Your Honor, I don't think it's fair that she has called CPS on
Just
me.
a second. We're not talking about fair. Right now, we're talking about parking.
Well,
right now, we're talking about what precipitated this bad feeling. And I agree with you. We'll get to the rest of the harassment, but what I'm telling you is you're off base here. You're not entitled to a public street parking spot that may or may not inconvenience somebody else. You have a spot in front of your house. But if the reason you told her to move her car and the people behind is because you don't like to parallel park, that is sort of an entitlement. I'm just telling you, Ms. Hernandez, that's sort of an entitlement that what generation?
Gen Z.
Gen Z. This is going to cause the demise of this country. There is no entitlement to park right in front of your house, comfortably. There's no entitlement to that. You wanted that, you should have bought a house that had a garage. If that started the problem, I'm telling you that you were wrong.
She had the garage.
That doesn't give her license to do bad things. Now, she can call the police if she thinks that you touched her car, which you probably did. You didn't damage it, but you probably touched it because you were annoyed, because that's a constant source of irritation.
No,
so I'm not concerned about calling the police. Understand this. I'm concerned about calling CPS, because that's one of the issues here. And Miss Jackson, I believe, in her answer, said she did, in fact, call Child Protective Services.
And I've
just
actually
a
got
second.
evidence.
Just
Why?
a second. You called Child Protective Services when?
I made a call in August. Was it August or September?
If you don't remember, you don't remember. You made a call to Child Protective Services based on 2 times.
Twice. Well, there was the most recent one, so it's 3. So the first
just
one.
a second. So you called Child Protective Services 3 times?
All 3 times, and I've got video evidence to why.
Okay, I'd like to see the video evidence.
Actually, pull that up.
Great.
One of them has to do with the fact she was inside, and I'd been outside changing batteries. I went to verify my cameras, picked up the audio. She had been yelling at her daughter, threatening to beat her up.
Okay, just a second. The first time you called Child Protective Services was in August or September of 2022.
Correct.
That's what you said. Why did you call Child Protective Services the first time?
The first time was I saw her kind of shove her daughter backwards.
You have that on tape?
Did you find the tape on that one?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Your Honor, they did not call CPS in August.
Just a second. She says she did. August or September.
So she's trying to claim earlier that I called in February, but that wasn't me. She had another situation going on. She even told the cop if it hadn't been for her telling me not to move my car, she wouldn't believe I was the one that called.
Okay.
Because she called the police on that.
Judy and Sarah watch a video on a cell phone. Footage of Lynette lightly pushing a child out of her way.
I don't see anything sufficient for you to call CPS the first time on that. That was a motion with a hand, child didn't fall.
There had been a bunch of yelling out before that.
I don't care. That's an overkill. What's next? When's the next time you called?
The next time I called, and she's got the video she can pull up for you. She was inside. I was changing my battery. She yelled at her daughter to get down.
Where was her daughter?
They were inside.
So you heard her yelling at her daughter?
Heard her yelling at her daughter to get down, or next time she does it, she's going to beat her up, and then we heard break your neck.
Okay, and you videoed that?
Yes, we even showed that to the police.
Okay,
Your Honor,
I'd like to see it. Looking at it, so far you...
Judy and Sarah listen to an audio recording on a cell phone.
You hear anything?
Subtitles. Woman.
Hey! Get your off the couch! Right now. Do that again. I'm gonna beat you up. Stop playing with me. You're gonna break your neck one of those days.
Yeah. She says,
Your Honor,
I'm gonna
that's
beat you
not
up,
me.
and if you don't listen, I'm gonna break your neck.
Okay. How old is your daughter?
That's not me. My
Who is
daughter's
it?
7.
Whose voice is it coming from your house?
It's not me. It's the
Whose
neighbor that was on the corner.
What?
That's not me. My daughter's name or my son's name is Cam. She said Cam.
No, she didn't.
You could listen to it again and it's gonna say Cam. That's not me. That was the person that's in the...
Nobody
Want me to
has
just
any
listen
kids.
to it?
Yes, they do.
And then she says, hey, get off the couch right now.
After a night of drinking and driving.
Court come to order.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches the bench.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2018, Gray versus Woods.
Thanks, Kevin. You're welcome. Everybody sober today?
Daniel and Tony grin.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yeah.
You?
Yes, I'm sober.
Yes?
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Everybody. Okay, good. You two gentlemen know each other. You went out for an evening. I assume there was some drinking, and your car got totaled.
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that the defendant was driving your car when it got totaled.
Yes.
The defendant says he was drinking a little bit, but he says that you don't remember because you were so blotto that you were driving. Right?
Yes.
So that's what the case is about. Simple. Two drunks, nobody knows who was driving the car when it got totaled. Let's see if we can decipher it. If we can't, I may not care. Because you're not supposed to be in a car when you're drunk. Otherwise, you can kill a lot of people, as we all know. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Want to drive drunk and kill yourself, that's one thing. Right? You take a lot of other people down, and sometimes you make it out. So you have to be understanding to the fact that the judicial system really doesn't give a rat's behind if the two of you were drunk and in a car, and neither one of you was together enough to know who was driving the car. Yeah. When did this incident happen?
It was November 27th, 2021.
How long have you known Mr. Woods, Mr. Gray?
I've known Mr. Woods about 20 years, I would say.
So you've known him since you were kids?
Yeah, since high school.
And you have gone out frequently?
Yes.
Does he come to your house?
Yes.
You go to his house?
Occasionally, yes.
Occasionally. And where were you going on the 27th of November?
We were going downtown Ann Arbor to attend some festivities from the Michigan versus Ohio State football game.
To a football event.
Yeah.
How did Mr. Woods get downtown?
Well, Your Honor, I got dropped off.
By whom?
My friend.
Friend's name?
Lauren.
And where did she drop you off?
She dropped me off in front of Starbucks downtown where they were waiting because they were drunk. I didn't drink.
Just a second. Lauren dropped you off at Starbucks. Where were you supposed to go from Starbucks?
We were supposed to go to a club and hang out after the game.
So you first went to the game?
No, they went downtown right after the game, and I came to meet up to hang out.
So it was all after the game?
Yes.
What time did Lauren drop Mr. Woods off at Starbucks?
I would say it was around like 3, 4 o'clock.
In the afternoon?
I believe so.
What time did Lauren drop you off?
It had to be about 5:30, 6 o'clock.
And when you say it had to be 5:30 or 6 o'clock, how do you know that?
Because the game was over.
I don't know. I don't watch football, so I don't know when it starts and when it finished. Do you remember what time the game finished?
No, I don't remember exactly.
Okay, so let's say Lauren dropped you off at 5:30. How did you set the time for Mr. Woods to meet you so that he could join your party? The game is over different times. Did you text him? Did he call you?
So on the way, we had left from my barbershop, me and my witness here, Mo Chop.
So you weren't at the game, you were in a barbershop?
Yeah, we were at the barbershop at first. We watched the game.
Oh, you watched, so you didn't go to the game?
We didn't attend the actual game, no.
Okay.
We watched the game at the
How many people, you, Mohammed, and who else watched the game at the barbershop?
I mean, the barbershop was full of, we were still working at the time. We had left work after the game was over to go downtown to...
Were you watching the game or were you working?
I was doing both.
I would have hated to be your last haircut.
No, actually, it wasn't a lot of people there because that was the biggest game of Michigan's season, the last game, Ohio State. It's a big rivalry, so nobody was at our barbershop.
So
really.
It was just party? It was...
Judy waves a finger around.
It was just party.
You know, I'm old, so, you know, it was just party. You said, Mohammed?
It was a party.
It was just party. Okay, so you left the barbershop, but how did you find out to meet them at the Starbucks?
We have been communicating through text.
So you knew what time they were leaving the barbershop, and then you got dropped off. Now, what were you doing with Lauren?
I was waiting to get to them.
Where were you before?
I was at home. I watched the game at home.
With Lauren?
No, with myself.
Well, how'd you get Lauren to take you to Starbucks?
Oh, I just asked her and gave her some gas money.
Okay, so now you're at Starbucks, you meet up, and who's driving?
I was driving.
Okay, and that would have been a mistake.
Excuse me?
That would have been a mistake. I wouldn't get behind the wheel of a car, sir, if I was at a party all afternoon watching a big football game.
Ma'am, I wasn't at a party. I was at my barbershop.
I know you were at your barbershop.
Yeah.
Look at Mohammed. I know you were at your barbershop, sir.
There had been any drinking going on at that time.
There was no drinking in the barbershop, Mohammed?
There was people participating. Some people weren't. Some people were. I wasn't. I wasn't participating.
All righty. Okay. So now you go from this party in the barbershop all afternoon from this very big game, and you pick him up, and where were you going?
At that point, we decided to go to a bar.
Where was the bar?
I'm not familiar with downtown Ann Arbor area, but like it was a bar that was suggested by...
Stand up next to him. He's not familiar with a whole lot of things. You suggested a particular bar, Mohammed?
Yeah,
How far is that from the Starbucks where he was dropped off?
about a couple blocks over.
Okay, and you were in the car?
I was in the car.
Were you sitting in the front or the back when you picked up Mr. Woods?
I was sitting in the passenger seat at this point.
So Mr. Woods got in the back?
Yes, he did.
And you were going a couple of blocks to the bar?
Yeah.
Step by step, what happened next?
So traffic is jam-packed down there, so we're really just inching to the bar. We get to the bar, we go inside, we have a couple drinks.
Okay, so now it maybe 6 o'clock,
yeah.
6:30?
Yeah, dark outside.
And you have a couple of drinks at the bar?
A couple drinks, yeah.
What were you drinking?
I was drinking water.
That's not a drink that they like to serve at a bar.
I was a designated driver, so. After we left the bar.
Okay, so you were the designated driver,
Yeah.
and Mr. Gray was drinking.
Yes.
What was he drinking?
I don't remember what his drink is.
You remember what you were drinking?
Yes, ma'am.
What?
I had one beer.
Okay. Even he can't keep a straight face. You know, it's hard. It just, don't speak. Now, you were the designated driver. When were you designated the designated driver?
Well,
think very careful. Before you answer my questions, you know.
Okay.
I'm already 2 steps ahead of this game.
I've
When were you,
I've watched you on TV, yes, I know.
when were you designated the designated driver?
When we left the bar, I was the designated driver.
No. So it was when you left the bar?
Yes.
And who designated you the designated driver?
Well, I kind of designated myself. I'm pretty familiar with the Ann Arbor area. It's actually my idea to go downtown, so.
So you asked Mr. Gray if you could drive?
Yeah, I thought it would be the best idea.
And Mr. Gray said okay?
Yes, he did.
So you drove, and where were you going from the bar?
To another bar.
Better pickings at the other bar?
Just bar hopping, you know, college, downtown, football.
Okay, and what's the name of that bar?
Where do we go from there?
No!
Judy glares at Muhammad.
Speak, unless I look at you. The name of the other bar. Okay, now he helped you with that, right?
Yeah, he jogged my memory a little bit.
He jogged your memory.
Yeah.
So if he knew the bar, why did you have to be the designated driver?
I don't think I understand your question.
It's very easy. You said you were the designated driver because you know that area.
Right. I'm saying I didn't remember what bar we went to. I'm very familiar with the area. I just didn't remember what bar we were going to that night.
Okay. What happened when you got to the second bar?
We had some more drinks and...
we had some more drinks?
Yes.
What was Mr. Gray drinking?
You know, I was talking to some other friends that I met up with there. He was off doing his own thing. I don't remember what he was drinking.
What were you drinking?
Water still at this point. Water. Yeah.
Judy stares at him.
I like to stay hydrated.
She grins at him. Caption coming up.
When I come out of the restroom, my car is gone. So I call him, and he's not answering the phone. So I'm sitting at the shop waiting. He called me and say, "Yo, man, you gonna kill me, man. I just crashed your car. I'm sorry, bro."
Tony shakes his head. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Daniel, Muhammad, and Tony.
Daniel Gray claims his former friend, Tony Woods, drove drunk and crashed his car. Tony says Daniel was the one driving drunk and wrecked his own car.
Okay, so now you had a couple of drinks, you had another glass of water.
Yes.
Mr. Gray and Mr. Woods both were drinking alcohol, and what happened next?
We left there, we went to get something to eat.
Where did you go to eat?
We went to, what's the name of that place?
I don't know the name of the place, and he's not going to tell you.
It's a hot dog place. It's right around the corner from where we was drinking.
And then what happened there?
We got something to eat.
Okay, do you remember what time that was?
You know, I really don't.
Well, you've been already to two bars and a
yeah.
place to eat. So, and if you started out at 6 o'clock, it had to be closer to 9 or 10 o'clock.
Right, yeah.
Okay, and then what happened?
Came out of the restaurant.
And?
You
you remember what you had at the restaurant?
I had some waffle fries.
And do you remember what Mr. Gray ate?
He had a hot dog.
And do you remember what Mr. Woods ate?
He also had a hot dog.
Good. So you came out of the restaurant. Do you remember who paid the bill?
I think we all paid separately.
Okay, so now you come out of the restaurant.
Yeah, we come out the restaurant, we had eaten already. And this when Mr. Woods over here started horseplaying a little bit, charged at me from across the street. You know, I tried to get him
Well,
in.
just a second.
Okay.
How did he get across the street?
Well, the restaurant was across the street. We parked across the street from the restaurant.
Okay, I got it.
So I had already got back to the car.
Okay.
And Mr. Woods over here started horseplaying, and he ran across the street and tried tackling me, and he got me around my waist. I tried to put him in a headlock, but you see the size of his head. And that just continued throughout the night, just horseplaying.
No. So he's horseplaying with you.
Right.
But you get into the car. You said if you continued all during the night. What I want to know is, from the place where they got hot dogs and you got waffle fries, did you get back into the car?
We did get back into the car. We went one more place.
Okay. Now, when you got back into the car, after the 2 dogs and the fries, who was driving?
At that point, I think I was still driving.
Not think. I don't want to think.
I believe I was driving. I dropped myself off to my next destination because I separated from them two.
You went to one other place?
Yeah.
With them?
With the 3 of them, yes.
And when you got to the other place, you went in or you did not go in?
I went inside, yeah.
Okay. Did you stay there?
I did stay there.
And what about the 2 of them?
They went wherever they went. Back to the barbershop, I believe.
And you were the designated driver.
Up into the
So you were drinking the water.
Yes.
And they were both drinking alcohol. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. What do you mean, yeah? You go to at least 2 bars, maybe 3. You have a whole afternoon of drinking at a barbershop. Not you, you were drinking water.
Water, yeah. I don't know what was in that cup.
Then you get dropped off. You was the designated driver. Now, they're nowhere near home, so you knew one of them was going to be driving.
Right.
And as far as your testimony is concerned, you were left in the last place that you visited. They went out to go someplace else or go back to the barbershop.
Right.
Did you see them again that evening? Is not an answer. I mean, we're coming to court today. You know, it's not a photo shoot. You came here for testimony.
I don't believe I seen them that night again.
No, I'm just talking about that night. That's what we're talking about, that night. This is the night of the accident, the 27th of November, 2021.
I didn't see them again.
You're in a club. You don't know what happened. Now, when they dropped you off, did you go outside with them or did you just stay in the club?
I stayed inside.
So you don't know anything else?
What happened after that?
But now you can sit.
Thank you.
Muhammad sits.
Okay, now, your witness, the designated water drinking driver, has dropped himself off, and the 2 of you go outside. What happened?
After he gets dropped off, we are parked at a bar and...
Just a second. He stays there. You get into the car because you're going to another bar.
No, not at this point.
Where were you going?
I was getting ready to go to my barbershop.
He's not with you. Who was driving?
I was driving at that.
Okay. And you were driving to take yourself back, according to you, to the barbershop.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Okay, so we get to the barbershop and I leave the car running. He's in the car with me.
Just a sec. Got to the barbershop and you left the car running for what reason?
Because it was cold outside. It was snow. It was it's November.
Well, what were you going to the barbershop for?
I went to the barbershop because I needed to use the restroom.
And the barbershop is close by to this last bar you were at?
Yes.
How close?
Maybe like 2 miles.
Okay, so you went to the barbershop. You left the car running and?
So I go in to use the restroom and I leave the car running and Mr. Woods was sitting in the car still. So as I'm in the restroom, he comes in and starts knocking on the door and says that he had lost his phone when he had got out the car where we were parked at.
Where?
The last bar that we were at. I didn't actually go into the last bar. We was parked there. We were about to go in to meet up with him.
What do you mean to meet up with him? He was with you.
As he said, he met up with another friend.
He didn't tell me that. He said you just dropped him off at the other bar and you weren't going in, just he was going in, you dropped him off. That's what he said.
No, he went in.
I understand he went in.
All right, I never went in the last bar.
Okay, you didn't go and neither did he.
Yeah.
Well, I'm asking you, he said I lost my phone someplace.
No, where we were parked at, he got out the car for a second. I never got out the car. He got out the car for a second. And at
what
some
was he
point
doing when he got out of the car for a second?
He thought we were about to go in, but I told him that I needed to use the restroom. So he got back in the car. But at some point when he got out the car, he dropped his phone. So I told him I needed to use the restroom, so I go to my shop to use the restroom. I park the car.
Got it.
I get out, I leave the car running. I go in, use the restroom. He comes in, knocks on the door, telling me that, hey, yo, I lost my phone. Can I drive the car? Let me go pick it up real quick. And I tell him no. Like, just wait, I'll be out in a second. So he leaves, I hear the door open and close. I'm thinking that he's just going to sit back in the car. So when I come out of the restroom, my car is gone. I call him and he's not answering the phone. So I keep calling. And then the next, like 10 minutes later, he answers the phone. So I knew he went to go get his phone.
He found his phone?
Yes, and I'm furious at this point because he just left me in my
At the barber shop?
Yeah, in my car. So I tell him, bring my car back right now. He said, I'm on my way, I'll be there in a minute. About 15 minutes later, he called me and say, yo, man, you gonna kill me, man. I just crashed your car. I'm sorry, bro. Mm-hmm. And I had to walk all the way to the accident scene, to the car where he crashed my car at.
Now, you have an accident report?
No, I don't have an accident report.
Why?
Because we never called the police.
That's
because
probably a good idea.
He wasn't involved with another car. He just hit a pole.
I understand that. That's still an accident report. The only reason you don't call the police is because both of you were drinking.
Well, I wasn't driving the car at that time.
When you were driving the car to the barbershop, right?
Yes.
From the last bar where you dropped Mohammed off, you were driving.
Yes, I was not drunk though, Your Honor.
If you're not drinking, it's sort of an interesting thing. Everybody's definition of drunk is different. Your friend Mohammed said that he was the designated driver, so he was just drinking water. That's what he said.
That's what Mohammed
Which suggests to me that we had a full day of drinking, starting at the barbershop, watching the game, from the game to 2 or 3 bars, then for a bite to eat.
No. I wasn't drinking at the barbershop. I didn't start drinking until we got to the first bar.
Okay, so now you started to drink at 6 o'clock. Now it's 10 o'clock, and you've been drinking from one place to another. I'm just saying, you got behind the wheel of a car, and you had been drinking. Now, did you hit a pole?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, now you tell me your version of the events.
Tony nods. Caption, coming up.
How long was he in the restroom before you realized that you had dropped your phone?
About 5 minutes.
So now he's gone in to use the restroom. You go and look for your phone. You see how easy this is, like fishing in a fish tank.
Judy and Whitney grin. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Daniel and Tony.
Daniel Gray has accused his former friend, Tony Woods, of driving drunk and wrecking his car.
Okay, now you tell me your version of the events.
Okay, first off, I ain't eat no hot dog. So I never.
You didn't what?
I never had a hot dog. Never ate a
Okay,
hot dog.
strike the hot dog.
No hot dog.
Whitney, he denies the hot
I
dog.
didn't eat a hot dog either.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Denies the hot dog.
Okay, so for what happened after they got in the car? First, they were very drunk.
Just a second. You don't have to tell me. All three of you were drunk.
I wasn't drunk yet.
Okay. By the time the car got trashed, you were drunk. Let me tell you what I believe.
Okay.
So that you can pick it up from there.
Okay.
I believe that Mohammed was dropped off at the last bar. So there came a time at the end of the evening when it was just the two of you. I don't know who's driving, I don't know who's the passenger, but I believe that they dropped him off because otherwise Mohammed, who appears here as a witness today, would have had a better story because he says, I don't know what happened afterwards, because I wasn't there. So there was a time at the end of the evening that just the two of you were in the car.
Okay.
That's what I believe.
Okay, can I tell you before that part, though? Because he was driving down the wrong way of the street.
But there's no question in my mind he shouldn't have been behind the wheel of a car.
And that's when I lost my phone and my wallet, and we were wrestling in the street. He actually attacked me.
Let's move forward.
Okay.
There came a time when just the two of you were in the car.
Okay.
When was that?
Well, we were sitting in front of a bar that we were about to go to. I got out the car, and I dropped my phone. At that time, I asked him to take me back to get
No. You dropped your phone. And you didn't know you dropped your phone because if you knew you dropped your phone, you would have picked it up.
Right, correct.
Right. So then you got back into the car. Driver's seat or passenger seat?
I was in the passenger seat.
And Mr. Gray was driving?
Yes.
And Mr. Mohammed was at the bar?
Yes, he was with a friend.
He had gone to the bar, so it was the two of you. You're in the passenger seat, he's driving, and he's drunk.
Yes.
And you went back to the barbershop for him to use the restroom. Just follow, because there was a time when you wanted to go back to look for your dropped phone. Do you understand?
Correct.
Now, he goes back to the barbershop. How long was he in the restroom before you realized that you had dropped your phone?
About 5 minutes.
And you realized that you had dropped your phone because you tried to make a call while you were waiting for him.
Correct. And it was snow on the ground, correct.
It was snowing, and he didn't have a Frankfurter.
Yes.
So now he's gone in to use the restroom. You go and look for your phone. You see how easy this is, like, it's like fishing in a fish tank. You went inside, and what did you do when you went inside when you realized that you had lost your phone?
I told him, let's go get my phone, and he drove us and went and got the phone.
Okay, so he came out of the restroom. You got back into the passenger seat of the car.
Correct.
And he got into the driver's seat of the car.
Correct.
And what happened?
Then we called Mohammed to try to meet back up with him after we got my phone. And then...
No. Step. Slowly he turned. Step by step. Inch by inch. Now you're in the car, on your way back to the bar where Mohammed is to look for your phone.
I got drunk. I think I blacked out after that point.
Not according to your answer. According to your answer, you knew exactly what happened, sir. What do you mean you blacked out? You signed a sworn statement.
I know we got the phone. I got the phone back.
Well, I know you got the phone, so you had to have driven back there successfully to get the phone.
Yes.
And is it at that point that you get back into the car and you blacked out?
No, it was just I got really drunk after getting my phone. Like, after that, I just...
You don't remember what happened?
I remember getting my phone and being drunk. Like, I got my phone.
Okie dokie, there we go. Okay, you were all drunk. As a matter of fact, I have zero sympathy for any of you getting behind the wheel of a car. Okay, the car was damaged.
Yes, I have.
And so what you want me to believe that you blame him, and I could understand that because I don't know how drunk you actually were, whether or not you blame him for your wrecked car because you were driving the car back to find his phone and it wouldn't have been in that problem had he not dropped his phone out of the car, or whether he was actually driving the car drunk. It's actually irrelevant to me. You were both driving drunk. You have a bill to fix the car?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
Daniel hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
And I have pictures of the accident.
Okay, so, yeah. So the bill was $5,500. And you had insurance?
Yes.
And the insurance paid for how much?
I had no fault insurance.
So you didn't have...
I didn't have collision.
Okay. You didn't have collision, so you had to pay $5,500, which you paid.
Yeah.
Divide that by 2.
$27.50.
That's what I thought. So, Mr. Gray, there are some lessons that you learn, and I don't know whether other courts would agree. I have to make a determination as to credibility, and quite frankly, I can't determine between two drunks who's telling me the truth. Because on the 27th of November, both of you were in no condition to drive a car. And I can't tell who actually drove the car at the time that it was wrecked. But I do know that you drove the car from a club to your barbershop, and that neither one of you stayed at the scene, called the police, because both of you were inebriated and knew that either one or both of you were going to get busted for a DUI because you both drove the car that evening. What?
Ma'am, I was not drunk at the time that this happened. I did go to the bars, but I wasn't in the bars drinking. That I had one beer.
$27.50, we're done.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Daniel, then Tony.
I feel like he kind of got the story wrong because I wasn't drunk, but...
I think that was very fair. I feel like, you know, the judge was very reasonable.
I had one beer that day, but, I mean, there's a limit to, like, being drunk in the state of Michigan.
It was just one of those drunk things, you know, but we got it taken care of.
I wanted to make him look like my vehicle.
It was very snowy outside, and, you know, something happened, and I don't remember.
I didn't do anything. I just called a tow truck and tried to get the situation solved.
And I'm very happy to get this case behind me.
Satisfied I got something out of the deal.
I don't know. Hopefully we could get back to being friends. You know, he's a good guy.
Judy and Sarah.
I'm surprised you gave them anything. You know, unclean hands don't deserve money from this court, as we've seen time and again. So I'm surprised, really, that you gave him even half of what he was asking, because you couldn't tell which one of them was credible, if either of them were credible. And so what are you supposed to do? I mean, I guess splitting it down the middle was, I understand.
And filing a false restraining order.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judy enters.
Be seated, please.
Hello, Judge. Hi. Case number 204, Bernero versus Trinell.
Thank you, Kevin. Now, you have to tell me, are you Miss or Mr.?
For the duration of this case, I will refer to as Mr. for legal terms.
Mr. Trinell.
Correct.
Okay. Ms. Bumel, you and the defendant dated for how long?
2 years.
And according to what I read, during part of that period of time, you lived at your mom's house.
Yes.
From when to when?
From January to May.
Of what year?
2021.
Had you lived with each other prior to that?
Yes.
Where?
At his mom's.
And how long had you lived at his mom's?
About a year, once I turned 18.
Prior to your moving into his mom's, were you ever together?
Yes.
Where?
Well, we didn't live together. We were just, we were seeing each other, I mean.
From when to when?
From April to December of 2019. And then I moved in at the beginning of 2020.
So for a long time. Did you have plans to marry and had you discussed it?
Yes.
True?
We had those conversations, yeah.
Great. This case actually has to do with funds that you put in to a car that was supposed to be used by both of you, but since you didn't have a license, the car was put in your name. And the relationship took a bad turn, and you have the car. Is that right?
Yes.
And you, Ms. Bumel, want the money that you put into the car.
Yes, we agreed that I would get my half of the money if he kept the car.
Well, you didn't put in half the money. You only put in, according to you, a deposit.
Yes.
So you're not entitled to half the car. At most, you're entitled to your deposit back, and that's what I have to determine. Now, Mr. Trinell, the allegation is that you filed a false restraining order against the defendant, and I believe you spent a little time in custody. Is that correct?
Yes, they took me in and fingerprinted me.
And that was after the breakup?
Yes.
All right, so let's go to the car. You were living with your mother when the car was purchased?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Trunell, month and year the car was purchased.
May of 2021.
So that was immediately prior to the breakup.
Yes.
What kind of car was purchased?
2014 Ford Focus SE.
And the purchase price?
We put down a deposit of $7,000. Total purchase of the car was just under $11,000.
So there was finance charge
Yes.
on the car. Who financed the car?
I did.
Through what institution?
My bank account. I was paying it through my debit card while I was working.
I understand that, but what institution? What
Bank of
America. Bank of America. And what were the monthly payments?
$200 around there.
So if the car was purchased immediately prior to the breakup, the plaintiff really didn't get any benefit or use of the car. Very little, maybe at most 30 days. That be a fair statement?
I'd say so.
Fair statement?
Yes.
And how much, Ms. Buellman, did you put into the car?
I put in $6,000.
Is that correct?
Correct.
I'd like to see proof that you put in $6,000.
Hannah produces a document, then hands it to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
And then I also have bank statements.
Sarah, would you do me a favor, just add up these figures for me, please? I'd like to see the bank statement.
Hannah hands another document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
There's one page that is not highlighted.
Totals to $7,000, Your Honor.
What is this that you gave me?
My bank statements for what I paid at CarMax, and then what I take out, I did because I did a cash deposit. So everything I took out at the ATM, I put right into my cash flow envelope I had for savings for the car. But there are 2 CarMax transactions. I did it in cash because I was told that it would be cheaper if I did it in cash because it won't be taxed if it was compared to a card.
Yeah, but these figures don't add up to the same thing as that.
Well, he did pay a little because that is $7,000.
No. But these figures I have on the 13th of May, which is when this car was purchased. I have you took out $800. You took out $1,520. You took out another $100.
Yes.
I may be missing something, but that's all I see.
No, and then, like I said, the ATM on the other 2 bank statements, it says $700, $800, and I believe another $500 for everything I took out in cash for down deposit.
I'm not following that. Are you understanding this? Take a look at this. Sure.
So she's saying that these PNC bank statements was cash withdrawals that she then used towards, I'm assuming, this large $5,380 first bill, because the totals from this are only total to $2,420.
Right. Well, that's all I have. That's your bank statement. This thing that you handed me first is actually unreliable because my 14-year-old child could make that up on a computer. I'm looking at your bank statement, which looks different from my bank statements, but I'm prepared to accept it. Do you have the invoice for the car that you purchased?
I have the contract, the bill of sale.
Contract. Yeah, I'd like to see it.
Ryan hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
And I'd like to see your bank statement, please.
I don't have bank statements with me.
Any reason?
In my search, there were no correlations on May 13th towards the purchase. Only records that came up were towards the insurance and car payments that followed after the date. So I did not believe it was reasonable for me to submit that as evidence.
In the future, you should let the fact finder determine whether it's reasonable or not, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, when you finance the car, what this requires you to do is to maintain insurance.
Yes.
And it requires you to maintain insurance for both liability and collision until the remainder of the loan is paid off.
Yes.
Did you?
Yes.
Good. Now, without going into anything else, the 2 of you are no longer together. We may have to get into that later on the protective order, but the car was totaled.
Yes.
After the breakup.
Yes.
And the car was totaled and insured so that there was payment by the insurance company.
Yes.
How much?
$6,000.
Do you have any proof of that?
No.
Now, when you received the $6,000, the balance of your loan was $7,000. When was the car totaled?
September 29th of 2021.
So you had the car for a few months and made a few payments?
Yes.
Okay. Well, this looks to me as if she put down most of the down payment.
Yes.
And that at most you paid registration, tags, and a couple of car payments, which didn't total $6,000.
Correct.
Well, why didn't you give her the rest of the money? Are you following me? I mean, that Doesn't seem like rocket science. It wasn't your money. The two of you broke up. And it's clear to me that you had a minimal investment in this, dollar-wise.
The reason I didn't was mainly because I was the only person that could hold on to the car and keep it legally. Because it was under my insurance, I was able to finance it from there.
Okay, well, what you should have said to me was, I got a check for $6,000, but the $6,000, didn't that have to go to Bank of America?
Yes, it did. It went to Bank of America, went to my account. I used it towards paying off medical bills from the accident, and I used it towards rent for my home.
Well, why didn't you use it towards paying off the car loan?
The insurance company had paid off the rest of what I was owed to pay on the car to CarMax. They paid it off.
Oh, so they paid it off, plus they gave you $6,000.
No, let me correct. I apologize. I'm very nervous. The insurance company, after the incident, had paid off the rest of what was owed to CarMax from me.
Okay, so the insurance company paid off to the lender.
Yes.
Which was left, which was, let's say, $6,000.
Yes.
And in addition to that, they sent you a check.
Yes, I used that check towards my bills, and I used it towards my rent.
Okay, well, that you can't do, because that really wasn't your money. You didn't spend that money. Didn't you feel as if it was appropriate to give it back to her?
I would have if I wasn't in the situation that I was. And
what situation were you?
I was injured.
Who is this? Is this your mother?
Yes.
Okay. Are you living with your mom?
Yes.
Okay. Well, so you weren't on the street. I assume that you feed your child when you have to.
He was actually taking care of me at that time.
Oh, great. Well, if you had the money to take care of your mother, then you should have returned the money to her. So she's entitled to that money. You were compensated for it by the insurance company, and you had no right to keep it for your own bills. Okay. Got it?
Yes.
Easy. Easy peasy. Now, next is your allegation that he assaulted you and filed a false restraining order.
Yes.
Okay. So now let's jump to you are no longer living together. This is after May of 2021. You had an encounter, according to your papers, with the defendant. Tell me when and where that happened.
So October 6th at a Gloucester City Park, right down the street from where I was staying. So I walked there. And we both agreed for me to pick up my things because he still had some of my belongings.
Did you make the appointment to meet by text, by email?
Yes.
Text?
Yes.
Anybody have those texts?
Let me see if I do.
I do not. My phone was destroyed.
I only have the text from when he texted me the car accident when I said I was planning to take my car back. And right after that, I then planned to meet up with him to get the rest of my stuff back.
Okay. Well, you don't have the text involving that. Okay. So you did, in fact, meet at a park.
Yes.
How did you get there?
I walked there. I was staying at a friend's house.
How did you get there?
I drove my mother's car.
Okay. Now you're in the park. Tell me what happened, and this is in October.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So we meet at the park, and he gives me my belongings, and then I asked him because throughout the breakup and afterwards, I knew there was some things he was hiding from me. So I asked him if he was hiding anything, and to get some closure, I just wanted the truth. And so from then, he was getting a little frustrated about it, and I was just saying, I don't know what I did wrong, and then he threatened to hit me, and then I said...
You said to him, I don't know what I did wrong.
Yes.
Because he moved out.
Well, from the reason he told me we broke up, he said it was mental illness. And then I felt like I wasn't helping if I could do any more. I felt like I could have done more because I was very accepting of who he is now. And so since that happened and I was so accepting of him, then he threatened to hit me. And I was very confused. And I just said, okay. And then he shoved it and swung at me.
And at no time did you hit him?
After that, I did defend myself and I did hit him.
What did you hit him with?
Just my hands. I pushed him just to get him off of me.
Was he injured?
By scratches, yes.
Where?
On the face. There was like 2 scratches I saw.
And what about you?
I had bruises on my shoulders, both shoulders, and then I had a swelling on my head.
Either of you have photographs of the injuries?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at them.
I told her that you need to understand that you did me wrong too. She said, so what? I pushed her. She swung first, I swung back, we fought. She punched me in the face twice.
So after you pushed her, according to you, she swung at you?
Correct.
Okay, well, you didn't expect her to give you a kiss after you pushed her. Did he discuss with you a co-ownership of the dog, which would mean that you would share the litters if the dog was bred?
Yeah, he did.
And you gave him no part of the $3,500?
No.
So, do you want to tell me what your defense is to this? Because your counterclaim is ridiculous.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Hannah and Ryan.
20-year-old Hannah Buellman says ex-boyfriend Ryan Trunell is responsible for a car down payment and injuries from an assault. Ryan said he was the one assaulted.
Either of you have photographs of the injuries?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at them.
Kevin collects photos from Hannah and Ryan.
Thank you.
He brings them to Judy, who reviews them. One of them depicts Ryan displaying a small injury to his mouth.
Okay. How did it end, the incident in the park?
So I just pushed him on the ground and I walked away.
And where did you go?
I first went back to his house. I did go to his house because he still had one of my big bags.
Okay, so after this incident, you pushed him down. You went back to his house with him?
No, I with my friend.
Well, your friend wasn't with you in the park.
Yes, I walked to my friend's house. I let him know what happened, and then we drove to his house so I can get the rest of my belongings that I couldn't carry home.
And what happened when you got to his house?
So I told him, I said, hey, I'm sorry. I even put my hands up, and I'm like, I just want the rest of my belongings back because I didn't think I would get it back. And so then he just told me, sorry, I told you I was mentally unstable. And I'm like, I just want my stuff back. And I grabbed it and I left.
So you got your things back?
Yeah.
And you both said, I'm sorry. Does that sound correct?
No.
Well, tell me your version of, you had this argument in the park.
We had an argument in the park. She was asking me questions about why the relationship had ended. I had explained that it was through emotional turmoil, mental illness, and that she was not being very supportive. She was very toxic, and she was very aggressive with me. And when I had told her that I was going through all of this stuff and that I felt bad for things that happened in the relationship, I told her that you need to understand that you did me wrong too. She said, so what? I pushed her. She swung first. I swung back. We fought. We broke up the fight in the beginning. I apologized. Her items were on the ground. I picked them up. I handed them to her. She punched me in the face twice. Post that, grabbed my hair, pulled it, and then we broke up the fight after. I got in my car. I went home first. She went back across the street to her friend's place. I was at the apartment. I was just talking to my landlords about some stuff that my mother and I had to take care of. I don't exactly remember. As I was coming back up from the apartment, her and her friend had walked up, threatened to charge me with assault, and demanded the $7,000 for the car then and there. I said I didn't have it. I apologized for what had happened.
Didn't have it. You apologized for spending the money?
Yeah.
That's what part of the argument was about, back at your apartment.
Well, there wasn't an argument on that. I apologized for it, but she still wanted the money. She demanded the money.
Well, so the money was part of the argument.
Yes.
Did you both go to the police station?
Yes.
Yes.
And who went first?
I did.
But you didn't go to the police station immediately after the incident. You went to the police station after she said she's going to charge you with assault.
Yes.
And do you have a copy with you of the police report that you filed?
Yes, I do.
Ryan hands a document to Kevin.
Thank you.
He brings it to Judy, who reviews it.
You have a copy of the police report you filed?
I do not.
You do not. Okay. So you were not injured, and what I'm putting together here is that you went to the police station and filed this because she had threatened to go to the police and charge you with assault. You went there, got there first, and you got there second. Is that right? And by the time you got there, is that the time they took you into custody?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever, Mr. Trunell, seek medical attention for any of these injuries that I see in these photographs?
No.
The answer is either yes or no.
No.
And you do acknowledge, Mr. Trunell, that the initial aggressor, physical aggressor, which is what you testified to. Let's go back to his initial testimony, Whitney. I believe he testified that, not sure, she was aggressive, she was loud, she wouldn't accept it, and he pushed her. But I'd like to get the exact wording.
So I told her that you need to understand that you did me wrong too. She said, so what? I pushed her. She swung first. I swung back. We fought.
Okay, so after you pushed her, after you put your hands on her, according to you, she swung at you.
Correct.
Okay, well, you didn't expect her to give you a kiss after you pushed her.
No.
All right, Ms. Buhlman, I'm looking at your complaint, and your complaint is seeking $6,000 in damages. Well, you already have, according to you, that money invested in the car, which he got back. So you are entitled to that. And since that's the extent of your claim against the defendant, I'm granting your petition in the amount of $6,000. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished here. Thank you.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
There were a lot of factors going on, I believe, just between both of us.
I'm just more than grateful to finally get this over with. I've been waiting too long and
Just a lot, I think, that I had to work on, too.
fighting for it and put so much work and time into it.
A lot of the things that were going on in my head was me being depressed, having to deal with a lot of what was going on in the world at the same time, too.
Well, he was like trying on makeup and stuff when we were together, and I was showing him how to do makeup, and I was being very supportive and just telling him, you know, you should get help, go get a therapist.
I felt like she was pushing me away.
And I don't know why he felt the other way around because
That we just both go our separate ways and we both just try and be happy. And
I didn't know what to do, and what I was doing I thought was supportive.
Sarah and Judy.
That must have been a very difficult breakup for both of them after being together for a significant number of years. But that's tip number 1 of Judy Justice is never put your hands on someone. And tip number 2, never purchase property, dogs, cars, timeshares with someone who's not your legal partner or without a contract. I mean, we've seen this time and time again.
Those people who don't follow that advice have kept me in business for 27 years.
We'll keep telling them that.
You're right.
Case number 2021, Parker versus Miles. All parties, please step forward.
Frankie Parker is suing his tenant, Miranda Miles, for the cost of a French bulldog.
Mr. Parker, this case is about a puppy that you allegedly sold to the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
That you want to be paid for. She has some sort of nonsense counterclaim.
Yes.
Which I will get to and resolve quickly.
Great.
So, Mr. Parker, you have a home that has 2 units in it.
We have a triplex, so it's a house and then it's a triplex behind the house.
So you live in the main house.
Yes.
Behind the main house, there are 3 units.
Yes.
When did you rent one of the 3 units to the defendant?
I rented it to her around February. I think I put the ad in early February.
Of what year?
2022.
Is that correct, Ms. Miles, that you moved into the unit in approximately February of 2022?
It was March, but yeah.
You put the ad in February?
Yes, ma'am.
Moved in March. And what was the rent that you had?
$1,250.
Do you have children?
Yes.
How many?
1.
How old?
9.
According to what I read, you decided to go into the dog breeding business.
Yes, ma'am.
You knew nothing about dog breeding.
Well, I know about dogs, but I didn't know about French bulldogs. That was kind of new to me.
What is your regular business, sir?
Property management.
Other than the property that you live in, do you have any other property that you manage?
Yes, ma'am.
You're really supposed to be sort of an expert before you go into the breeding business.
Yeah, well, I
dog
had a
breeding
lot of
business.
help.
That's sort of a foolhardy thing.
I had a lot of help. I wasn't by myself. I had people that was already breeding. They had 20 years.
Okay,
30
so
years
you had
experience.
somebody to
Yes,
give
ma'am.
you sort of
I
instruction.
didn't just jump into it.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And you decided to breed French bulldogs.
Yes, ma'am.
You purchased your first 2 French bulldogs, a male and a female, when?
I purchased them around January.
Of 2022.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you bought another one.
Yes, ma'am. Another good
When
female.
did you purchase the other one?
I bought the other female around February.
Okay, that's about the same time that you posted an ad for this unit that you moved into.
Yes, ma'am. All around the same
And
time.
that dog, I believe, based upon my recollection and my memory isn't what it used to be, I think the dog's name is Dolce.
Dolce, yes, ma'am.
How old was Dolce when you purchased her in February?
She was approximately 3 months.
How much did you pay for her?
I paid $3,200 for her.
And did you have AKC papers for her?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, according to your complaint, when the defendant moved in, she moved in March, she moved in with a 9-year-old daughter. The 9-year-old daughter saw this dog, Dolce, and became attached to the dog,
Yes.
fell in love with the dog, and the defendant agreed to purchase the dog.
Yes, ma'am.
And you acknowledge that you agreed to purchase the dog.
Yes.
In March of 2022, how much did you agree to pay Mr. Parker for the dog?
When I rented the apartment, he's told me $2,500.
He told you
that's not true.
Now,
He said $3,500.
Miss, shh.
He comes to my house, knocks on my door randomly all the time. He put cameras on
Then
all my
move.
neighbors.
Listen
I
to
don't
me.
have the money.
Listen to me. Well, that's again not his problem. He wants his rent on time, and he would like to be paid for his dog.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Frankie and Miranda.
Frankie Parker claims his tenant, Miranda Miles, owes for the cost of a French bulldog. Miranda is countersuing for harassment and invasion of privacy.
Miss Miles, I want you to think more clearly. Try to be clear. He had just paid $3,200 for the dog.
I didn't know that.
So, according to you, he agreed to sell you the dog for $2,500.
Yes. And then he changed it to $35 when I moved in.
Oh, so before you moved in, he said 25, but after you moved in, he said 35. Did you agree to pay him the 35?
Yes.
Okay, so now you have an agreed price of $3,500, which sounds more reasonable than 25 because he paid more for the dog.
Yeah, that's not entirely true. I told her
$5,000 at first.
Okay.
But we'd do a co-ownership, which brought the price down to $3,500.
Okay. Right now, she agreed to pay you $3,500.
Yes.
She doesn't understand from co-ownership. You're talking about breeding down the road. Did you pay him any part of the $3,500?
No.
Okay, now let's go further. Are you still living in the unit behind him?
Yes.
So now that's March, April, May, June, July, August. Did you pay March's rent?
Yes.
April?
Yes.
May?
Yes.
June?
Yes.
July?
Yes.
And August?
Not yet.
Did she pay everything except August so far?
Yes, but I had to take her to court to almost evict her to get the money.
Okay. When did you start eviction proceedings? In what month?
I started eviction proceeding in June.
How much behind in rent was she?
She was just that month, but she had been late 2 prior times, so.
Okay. How late is late?
Well, I give you a grace period up to the 4th. Sometimes it's like the 10th.
Sometimes it was like the 10th.
Yes.
So we're not talking about months late.
No, she's never,
And
she always paid.
when you took her to court to evict her for non-payment of rent, she came up with the money.
Yes.
Now, we're August 5th now. Did you pay your rent?
Not yet. Honestly, I'm struggling. I'm unemployed right now, and he knows my situation with my bank and my account right now, and he knows why. I have no funds at this moment.
Oh, but that's his business.
I get it.
See, that's his business. Do you work?
Not at the moment.
Why?
Because I got fired.
Why?
Because I didn't have transportation, and I've been
So you didn't go. Well, if you don't go to work or if you come late, then you get fired.
Right, and I also have health problems that I've been going through as well.
That is also, Miss Miles, not his problem.
I know.
Now, I'm going to go back to something that Mr. Parker said, because I think that it's sort of important for me to be able to resolve your counterclaim, because for sure you owe him the price of the dog, which you still have, correct?
Yes.
Did he discuss with you a co-ownership of the dog, which would mean that you would share the litters if the dog was bred?
Yeah, he did. I wasn't very clear about it, but yes, he did, and I was willing to do that, so I was able to afford the dog.
That's going to help me resolve the issue. And you gave him no part of the $3,500?
No.
So, do you want to tell me what your defense is to this? Because your counterclaim is ridiculous. I don't even remember what it is. For harassment, slander, invasion of privacy?
He comes to my house, knocks on my door randomly all the time, every day.
Then move. Just a second. Then move.
He put cameras
then
on all
move.
my neighbors.
Listen to me.
I don't have the money.
Listen to me. Move.
I don't have the money.
Well, that's, again, not his problem. He wants his rent on time, and he would like to be paid for his dog.
Right.
Okay, let's move on
Okay.
to something that's viable, okay? Let's talk about this breeding of the dog, which I think would be absolutely ridiculous. Have you taken the dog to the vet?
Yes.
Dog's gotten its shots?
Absolutely.
Okay. And other than the fact that you say you're not working, there's no reason that you're not paying him for the dog, which you originally agreed to.
No.
$3,500, judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you very much.
But, Your Honor, she's supposed to get full breeding rights. to
I'm
the
not
dog.
giving her full breeding rights to anything. She
Well,
can't take care of herself or her 9-year-old. She has no money. How is she going to breed a
But
dog?
we can't do the co-ownership.
No, well, you're not doing a co-ownership, sir. She just bought the dog for $3,500. Period.
That wasn't
you
the
keep,
agreement.
Oh, just a second. You keep the papers. Do you understand?
Okay.
You keep the papers. She doesn't get the AKC papers.
Okay.
She keeps the dog, which means she's going to take care of the dog, get it spayed, do whatever she's supposed to do with the dog.
Okay.
You get $3,500, and don't make deals like this again. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Great.
This court is adjourned.
I wanted either to have the full dog and not no co-ownership, but I guess it didn't work out for me.
You know, I was trying to get the whole amount so we won't have to do a co-ownership anymore. So you can either get the dog, the whole rights to it, or just pay me out.
I think he was trying to help me pay for it, and that's why he said the co-ownership, because I was unable to pay for the whole $5,500.
The whole rights to it, or just pay me out, you know.
I think that's what he was trying to do.
But I think overall the judgment was fair.
We live next door, so we have to.
I hope that we can actually do this together, and
We're good. Me and him are good.
I hope it does run smoothly and we don't have any more mishaps.
Sarah and Judy.
The case itself was easy, Sarah. Promised you buy the dog. Your daughter is in love with the dog. And you say, well, I can't pay for it. This time, dogs attached, and he seems like a very, very nice man. But we had two little Maltese dogs once. I don't know if you remember them.
I remember the
Do
stories.
you remember the story? You were too young to remember the dogs. They were two little yappy Maltese dogs, and we thought it might be an interesting experience to breed them.
Oh, yeah.
And
Two New York City judges.
Two New York City judges decided that it was the worst experience. First of all, I remember after, and I think we had two or maybe three in the litter, and I couldn't leave them home. So I would take them in a box in my car to the courthouse and open.
Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is your guy Charlie here again with the new gameplay of Counter-Strike 1.6, and this time we will gonna play the map Teach Us 2. So this is the common map which most of the players used to play every day, online or offline. But today we will gonna play online match. So let's go guys, see what's will gonna happen today. So if you are guys new here, so don't forget to like or subscribe my video and channel, and if you already know me, so don't forget to like and share. So let's go guys, without wasting our time, let's get in. Okay guys, let's go. Let's pick up the weapon, the favorite weapons of all time, and let's pick up the flash grenade. And we will go from the left side as usual. Let me throw it here. Oh my god, I got a little bit damage, not a little bit, much. We just lost 60% health. So let's see, maybe they are coming from this side, because this is the bomb area, so they will gonna come here to plant the bomb. Let's check here. Oh my god, oh my god. Oh, I'm dead. No problem, we're gonna try next time. Oh, nice player. Keep your eyes open, man. Keep your eyes open. What are these guys doing? Enemy team is playing well today. He's there. Oh, he's... Oh, nice. AWM. Okay guys, let's go again. Let's see what happens this time. We'll choose the same side. Watch out, dude, not this time. I gave him some damage, but you're still there. Still there. Oh my god. I got two of them. Two of them are still alive there, waiting for me to come. But I saw him. Oh, grenade. I have to fall back. Here I will gonna get a good angle. Where are they? Continuously killing my teammates. Is he here? Oh, right. Oh my god. What is he doing, man? Oh my god. He's here. Ah, I got him. Oh shit. He killed me. Two of them are there. There are two. What are you doing, man? Killing your own teammate? You can't even defuse the bomb, bro. Let's go again. Let's see what happens this time. They might be here. Maybe my bullets will cross the wall. So let's see what's gonna happen. Are they right here? They are here. I saw him. I saw him. I killed him. I killed him. One of them is still up. What are you doing, bro? Keeping the knife in your hands and standing there still? Go kill them. I got one. He got him. He's using a sniper. Oh, nice. Only I'm left. Maybe he will come from this side. They will probably come here for the... Oh my god, he got him. He got me. Oh my god, I got a hit. You guys might be thinking why I'm hitting the wall continuously, but some bullets can cross from this side and might hit them. I don't have much health. I knew I will die. I knew I will die. He got the bomb. Enemy team is playing well today. Let's see what will gonna happen. They are not coming there. G-Dust is a little bit boring, honestly. What I feel, your map is a little bit boring. I feel that way. I don't know about you guys, but it's kind of boring map. I'm dead. Flashing bang this. Throw the flashing bang at. Nice bro, nice. His name is Papa. Oh. Camping here? Like, Soap is camping here. See what will gonna happen. They win again. We didn't play well today. Actually, I'm not in a mood bit, but I choose to post this video for you guys so that you guys don't feel bored. But it's quite a good thing to also keep your loot. So let's see what happens. Let's see what's gonna happen.
Let's see what's gonna happen.
Can we win this time?
Can we win this time?
Or not?
Or not?
Oh, he's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill me.
He's gonna kill me.
I hate grenades.
I hate grenades.
Especially this flashing bang.
Especially this flashing bang.
They got him.
They got him.
Let's see. Can I get them or not? We'll go from here. He's here. I got 2 of them. The soap one, I hit that guy. I'm glad I get that.
Sector clear.
Bro, you literally scared me. Where are they camping? Oh, he's offline. Sorry, Emco. We have to do because we have to win. Okay guys, this will be the last match we will gonna play. We just won 1 match today. But let's see what happens. I choose to post also my games which I lose because I don't want you to just think about that I win all the matches. So I will probably post this. So we will be satisfied that not all the players are good that much. Even we lose sometimes. So, oh my god, AWM hit. This is the last match we will gonna play, okay? So, I will posting continuously more videos. No, I'm dead. Okay guys, I will be posting more videos continuously for you. So stay tuned, we will gonna play lots of other matches and other maps as well. So stay tuned guys and wait for my upcoming videos. And if you are new here, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow for more videos. Thank you guys. See you later. Bye bye.